charts. Every number one for rated thread in the press. Ow! Every number one for the orange owl. Every number one for rated thread in the press. Every number one for the orange charts. Every number one for rated thread in the press. Ow! Every number one for the orange charts. Every number one for rated thread in the press. And every thread in the press. Wow! Yowza!
Hello, I'm Ben,
Hello, I am Tom.
and this is podcast 1999. Can't remember I never know the number. 1999,
Yeah.
and it's Sunglasses at Night.
It sure is. That's the podcast where we look back through our metaphorical Ray-Bans at a year in musical history via the old Australian Recording Industry Association charts, also known as the ARIAs, and ask what the shit was going on.
Indeed. So 1999, look, at this point, every single person on the planet, Tom, they were focused on the new millennium.
Sure.
They were ready for that,
They
even though
sure
it wasn't meant to start until 1st of Jan 2001, but no one cared. But that aside, they were focused on the new millennium, and they were focused. Everyone was spending all of their time preoccupied with Y2K.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, any young person that doesn't know what that is,
Congratulations.
What happened was people just assumed because back in the olden days when bytes in computers were so, computers had effectively imagine your phone today. That was like the most powerful computer on the planet, and even if you've got a Nokia 3210 today, that was sort of that. So what they did was to preserve the space on these computers. All the years were just 2 digits, weren't they? So instead of 1992, 1993, it was just 92, 93, etc. So what happens when you get to 31 December 1999? Flips over to 00. People just thought the fucking world was going to end. The ATMs would just, money would start spewing out. Your toaster would explode. You'd get killed by, like a train ticket machine. It was just
Plane would land on your house.
Exactly. People just assumed it was going to be utter fucking pandemonium. And then, from what I recall, nothing happened.
Yes, still to this day, not much happened. I think one or two minor,
I remember reading that
industrial things happened. But
no one died though.
oh fuck no, none of the apocalyptic.
This is I recall reading this. A guy in Oregon, in the US of A, went to the video shop. He'd hired some stuff out the week preceding, took it back. They scanned it and went, "You owe us $80,000 because these videos are 100 years overdue." And the guy went, "They're not." And then the guy behind the counter went, yeah, don't worry, just the Y2K system thing that, it's fine, we'll wipe that. And then the guy left and that was it. And that was about as most as I heard happening.
Yeah, that's
true.
true.
Yep, that's right. It was the end of the world. But anyway, so people were extremely fixated on that, Y2K. They were less fixated on Will 2K, though. Will Smith's fucking awful Willennium-based song, which didn't feature in any film, but from what I recall was utter dog shit. So that was great. He tied that in. So people were focused on Y2K. Any other news that you can recall? That's all I remember.
A giant hailstorm caused $1.7 billion worth of damage in Sydney.
Ah, good.
That was that year where they were like AFL football-sized pieces of ice just destroying people's houses.
Nice.
So that was pretty nuts. The US Coast Guard intercepted 4,300 kilograms of cocaine on a ship headed for Houston in one of the biggest drug busts in American history.
Is that how much, sorry?
4,300 kilograms, so 4.3 tons.
Yep.
Yeah.
In
movie news, Joe Esterhouse's career came to a halt and he never wrote another script.
Oh, no.
So
what?
I'm sure those two events had nothing to do with each other, but, I'm just saying they happened at exactly the same time and exactly the same year.
If anyone has seen Jade, the film I think that just preceded Showgirls, you can assume that there was a lot of cocaine involved in that.
In sadder news, the delicious pink and blue wrapped caramels from Pascal Confectionery had their names permanently ruined when teens Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold killed 13 people and injured 24 in the Columbine massacre. If anyone gets that joke, congratulations.
Did they change the name of
No,
Columbines
you can
after
still
that?
get them. Although I must admit I haven't seen them anywhere for a long time. They're
Really?
fucking delicious though.
Yeah, they're good. They're very nice.
In the aftermath of this horrible event, America took a good hard look at itself and instituted tough new gun control measures. Oh, sorry, that was my fault. That should have read, America took a good hard look at itself and blocked a tyrannical federal law against pedophiles buying landmines.
Ah.
So it was about time that law was taken away because,
Good.
you know...
That's absolutely right. They get crazy with those landmines. So
It's in the Second Amendment. No well-regulated militia pedophiles should be allowed to buy landmines.
absolutely. So a lot of news there, Tom. There's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff happened.
Yeah,
A lot of stuff happened.
culturally, one other thing. The Sopranos debuted on HBO, signalling the start of the HBO era, essentially the modern, long-format, high-budget TV show era. I was still renting it one cassette at a time on VHS back then. And Eminem's Slim Shady LP came out, forcing Generation X to reconsider the possibility that a rapper could be white, but not white dog shit. I still think he's just a fad, Ben. What do you reckon?
I think so, yeah. Time will
People will
tell.
get sick of this
People,
Eminem
they'll
guy.
definitely get sick of that. They'll just be like, just another white rapper, just like all the others before him. Vanilla Ice.
Young black teenagers.
Young black teenagers.
White. Weirdly.
Denny Blazin' Hazen, if you remember, if you know that guy. You don't know Blazin' Hazen?
I do like Blazin' Chet Hazen, though.
Yeah. You mean Tom Hanks' son, Chet Hanks? That guy's on fire. Hopefully
and
we'll
of
get
course,
to England.
Kevin Federline.
Oh, K-Fed, yeah, absolutely. Some of the finest. So, but yeah, Eminem, he's effectively in the same box as those guys. But what was that dude that the Kanye West owes me $300 book guy? What was his name?
Oh yeah, the one.
He was a white rapper too.
Yeah.
He had a real
I heard an
Hot
interview
Carl.
with him. Hot Carl. Yeah. Apparently, he was all poised to be the next white rapper that was going to take off, like a new generation of white rappers, and then Eminem just came along and crapped
Yeah, he
all
was
over him.
signed to the same record label, I think, and they were
Yeah.
just like, oh, we probably only need one of these dudes. One's like just a novelty joke rapper, and one sort of is hanging out with Dr. Dre, so we assume he's legit. So
Also, Eminem's a shit name, but Hot Carl, oh boy.
yeah,
That's like calling yourself MC Cleveland Steamer or something.
exactly. Not ideal, less than ideal. And the biggest film of the year, I believe, was Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Yes, although I think Wiki Wild Wild West came out this year too.
Ooh, that's a big one as well, for sure.
Was certainly large something.
I've not seen. Have you seen The Phantom Menace, Tom?
I have seen The Phantom Menace. In fact, I may have even gone on open.
Yep.
Night. I didn't queue up, but I remember the cinema was chockers.
What do you think?
Afterwards, it's hard to tell with these things sometimes. I remember afterwards thinking, "Oh yeah, that was okay." Like it was a big blur of noise and stuff. Also, I'm pretty old, but I'm not old enough to have watched the original Star Wars at the movies.
Yep.
So, and also we were more impressed with CGI in 1999.
That's true.
And that was
very
like
true.
the most expensive CGI money could buy at the time.
Yeah.
So it did look legitimately good at the time.
Correct.
But yeah, what did you think? Did you see it at the movies?
I've never seen it. No, I didn't go and see it at the movies. I tried to download it years later,
Well,
and
rush out.
accidentally downloaded. Well, I thought it was legit, but it was Star Balls, the Phantom's penis, and sort of, you know how they'd sort of they'd put the wrong
Flesh
titles,
Gordon, yeah.
put the wrong titles on there. So it was a reworking, I think. So I still got most of the plot, assuming a lot of dicks in the Star Wars Phantom Menace one. A lot of dude on dude action, but that's I think that's probably what happened in the Star Wars, wasn't it? So Han
Pretty
Solo.
much.
And,
I don't think you missed heaps.
No, exactly.
Probably made more plot consistent.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Cool. Should we move on to the music?
Let's do it.
All right, excellent. So for the first 3 weeks of 1999, The Offspring, Pretty Fly, bracket for a white guy. People just couldn't get enough of that
They
from
couldn't.
98. So we spoke. Yep.
My friend did
Yep.
point out one thing to me, but
Yep.
I don't want to talk about that
No,
anymore
please,
because I think
please.
we covered it pretty
Please.
much. But my friend Brett pointed out that for quite a while with the Australian charts, the ARIAs, they didn't do proper tabulation for 2 weeks over Christmas. So for 2 weeks over Christmas, they would basically pause the chart.
Okay.
So if you hit number one in at the end of the year, you'd get 2 bonus weeks at number one. So perhaps that 6 weeks was really only 4 weeks. I was saying to him, I can't believe that Pretty Fly for a White Guy was in the charts for 2 weeks longer than fucking My Heart Will Go On from
Yep.
Titanic,
Yep.
which was still playing at the cinema at this point in Launceston anyway.
Well, that's an
yeah.
interesting point because I think we do find that usually every year the next year there's always it's
Yeah,
never
always lags,
never
yeah.
a clear cut just new thing. So yeah, usually get a few more. So if it's two more weeks, then that's probably just follow on from the
Sure.
previous year. But if it's like some of them are like 8 more weeks, so people are still buying
Oh,
shit out
totally.
of that.
Yeah.
Cool. So that was that. So first new song of the year for 1999 is Sure Believe. Now, Tom, do you believe in life after love?
Well, I can feel something inside me say, I probably don't think it's strong enough.
Yep, absolutely. So I think that
I'm not sure how that answers the question, even in the song.
no.
but-
Well, it's a rhetorical question, I assume
Sure.
Cher was posing, because certainly she didn't provide us with an answer in that, do you believe in life after love? You know, a simple yes or no would have done. She didn't provide us with that. But look, the interesting thing about this song, and I think most people probably already know this, is that it's one of the first hits, if not the first number one hit, to feature auto-tune, and now we've been suffering through it for 2 decades. And to use auto-tune, I think what I mean by that is to use auto-tune not as it was intended to be used.
Yes. Yeah.
So the gap.
Use it so you can tell it's being used. Like,
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
supposed to be imperceptible. That was the original intention.
Exactly right. So you use it on those dog shit people that are from, like pop stars or
Yeah,
Australian
like
Idol
who
or
did we have
Paris
last
Hilton
week?
or some.
The ones who did, oh god, that All Saints.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, where
For sure.
Just
So you give them the auto tune and then you smooth out some of those rough edges so it makes them sound in tune. But clearly, what happened was the dude that invented auto tune, the guy. It's sort of funny because I've actually seen, I think this year, 2 separate documentaries about auto tune,
Sure.
which is pretty weird. But the dude that invented it, he was an American engineer known for developing geophysical prospecting techniques for the petrochemical industry. And then he figured out some algorithm that you could correct pitch or something like that. It was intended to correct tone in real time, but then he set a dial on there so you could put it to like maximum tunage.
So
And then-
instead of happening over a 1 second break, it happens instantly, and so it just jumps.
Exactly. So
Like-
if you sort of go, it'll sort of jump up like
Yeah,
that. So
which
Cher, So Cher did this, and it's weird because the gap in time between, this being popular, then it absolutely sucking shit, and then people using it ironically, and then people just using it legitimately
everything,
again,
yeah.
happened in about the space of 2 years.
Yep.
I sort of feel that with some other technology shit, people will be like, oh, those cheesy 80s synthesizer songs,
Yeah.
it took like 20 years for people to go, oh, actually the synthesizer's sort of cool. Or the sax solo from 1985, they just didn't do it for like 25 years, and then people went, let's bring back the sax solo. But this was legit, fuck, that's so terrible. And I reckon within 2 weeks, someone was back going, oh yeah, I'm on the auto-tune again.
Do you like it in this song? Leaving it aside, let's say that nobody ever copied it and it didn't lead to years and years and years of dog shit
Yeah.
rap music, vocals.
Oh, look, it's interesting. I think at the time I probably hadn't heard anything like that before. I went, oh yeah, that's unique. I like a vocoder though. I do like the vocoder effect that people use. So
I think it
robot
works.
voice.
I think it works here better than it would subsequently a lot because Cher has such a nice voice already. Like that she doesn't really need auto-tune connection anyway. Like she had a fucking 30-year musical career before this. She's got a fine voice. So then I think it's sort of the roboticness of it contrasts with her nice
exactly.
sort of, clean, normal vocals. Whereas if you apply this effect, like in a lot of rap vocals, to people who can't sing, if they had a gun pointed at their head,
Yep.
then it just sounds like, someone with no singing voice letting their voice being played on a
Yeah,
kid
because it's used
electronic
only a
keyboard.
couple of times in the verses, sort of just
it's
a bit like
it's mostly the chorus.
Yep, and then a couple of so just use it a bit there.
And
but
it's
you're
a
right.
kind of because it's a kind of disco
Yep.
electro song as well. It's sort of it has a kind of built-in campiness anyway. Like, yeah.
Because people just turn it on now and they just leave it go through the whole song.
What's an example of a vocoder song, just so I can try and compare it? Does it sound exactly like this? I'm trying to think of one.
So the vocoder's like, it's if you listen to those, any song in the 80s that has that sort of robot voice effect. So, Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto.
Oh, okay.
It sort of has, that's like a pop song. But, they use it a lot in sort of like prog rock and shit like that. Anything where it sounds like a robot sort of
So it was a less sophisticated auto-tune.
Yeah, exactly.
That effect. Okay,
yeah, it was
all right.
invented to mask military
Yeah,
communication.
you said
So-
so you could cipher things.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. Look, we'll I'll think of a really, really good vocoder.
I know what you mean. I know the effect. I grew up
Yeah.
with it.
Exactly, but look, the other thing is that in the music video for this is it looks like they've tried to visualize auto-tune somehow in the music video, and by that I mean every time Cher's voice is auto-tune, her face will like disappear and then like reappear somewhere else on the screen or go all fuzzy, like sort of like the effect that they were trying to use in A Scanner Darkly, that film with the character where you can't see the person's face. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Keanu Reeves in a rotoscoped Philip K. Dick sci-fi thing where in the future people wear these sort of masks or something so you can't identify what they look like. So they've tried to do that with Cher. She'll auto-tune sing and it'll be like, and then her face will go all bizarre. So, which is pretty weird. It also looks like that she's got like fibre optic cable hair extensions.
I was going to say, I don't know what the fuck that is. I mean, like you say, the video it's very 99. It's in a grungy underground club / gay bar type thing, punk clubs, those ones that definitely exist.
Yep.
And in 2 years' time, everything's gone from futuristically blue tinted to sort of post-apocalyptically green tinted. Cher's in a plastic box with a terrible wig on, like you said. I kept expecting it to light up because it looks like it's made of like monkey hair and fibre optic cable, but it doesn't. It just, And then there's a disconnected to her, there's a girl who's spying on a dude and you think they're going to hook up. But then he leaves with someone else and she's sad at the end. I guess that's meant to illustrate the life after love aspect. But the crucial problem is that the guy has dreadlocks.
Yeah.
So it would probably work better in a song called Life After Boning a Guy with Dreadlocks, brackets, is excellent.
Yeah.
Or perhaps thank fuck for that. I didn't hook up with a guy with dreadlocks.
Exactly.
So,
Look, to me it looked like an off-brand Claire Danes was trying to hook up with Bomb Funk MC. Is that sort of a fair assessment?
That's pretty much exactly.
Yeah.
There's also a particular sort of bowl cut haircut that pops up numerous times this year, which I forgot must have been cool for women to have for about like 6 months in 99. It's like a sort of punk bowl cut thing.
I assume that Rachel from Friends was probably doing this at the time or some bullshit, didn't she?
It looks a bit like Run Lola Run, actually, which came out around this time too. So
exactly.
That's sort of like a messy bowl cut. It's not a good look.
No. Now it's 7 people. It took 7 people to write this song. Can you believe that?
I know. It's pretty weird. I mean, even that guy gets credit for the thing. For coming up with
Is this Cher? So
the official story is that the producer figured out the trick, like you said, but Cher loved it. Producer Mark Taylor figured out the auto-tune thing, but Cher loved it and defended it when Warner Music tried to get rid of it. But I've also heard another version where she hated it and he had to put his job on the line to convince her to keep the thing. So whichever one right, it's safe to say that if the song had bombed, nobody would be trying to take credit for it, making a 52-year-old lady sound like a cybernetic duck. So,
exactly. Did she have any other hits, or is Cher sort of...
Oh, sure, I mean, this was released in 98 originally. It took a little while to take off before it peaked at #1 in 21 countries worldwide. Number 1 on the Billboard chart on March 13, making Cher the oldest female artist at 52 ever to have a Billboard #1.
Wow.
She also set the record for the longest gap between #1 singles on the Hot 100. There's 33 years and 7 months between I Got You Babe and Believe hitting. So, she's a true multi-generational artist. She's still, if you told me that, people were making jokes about how old she was then. They were making jokes about her, how old she was in If I Could Turn Back Time, which was like 8 years ago. Now, 8 years later, she comes back, like, to go from that, like, sort of pop rock stuff to being a disco like a gay-targeted disco diva.
Yep.
And then 20 years later, she's still fucking touring. Like, she's still touring now. It's crazy.
That is insane. I can't believe that people were sort of giving a shit back then.
Yeah, it's nuts. And nobody gives... I mean, okay, people do give the Rolling Stones shit for being old, but you know what I mean. It's not quite the same thing.
So 33 years. So that means if, say, Snow can release a number one in 2025, he might be able to break that record.
He could,
Fingers crossed.
Still 52 years old.
Yeah.
Number one on the Billboard.
Absolutely.
I mean, pretty good.
For sure. Actually, it's interesting. This song is generally known as probably the first big hit, but Kid Rock actually beat Cher to use auto-tune in this manner with his song Only God Knows Why, which was released, I think, the same year, I think, 98. But
how does that compare?
It's dog shit, but it's sort of it's him with an acoustic guitar and then sort of a bit of a like the auto tune sort of thing happening. So, but look, I don't think you can say that Cher ripped this off from Kid Rock, because I think it's probably one of those things that just sort of happened around the same time.
No, well, what did happen too is that guy who figured out the note skipping effect by fucking around with the settings, they wanted to hold on to that, so they told people it was a vocoder when people asked about that effect, because they wanted to, you can't patent something like that, but they were obviously hoping to, maybe we'll use it in other songs.
Trade secret.
Yeah, that's right, it'll be a trade secret, but the secret got out pretty fucking fast, it seems
Oh,
like.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. Because you do not have to fast forward that long until you get to sort of T-Pain, who's and then once T-Pain was using it for entire songs, then that just set the doors ajar.
It's still fucking going.
It is, exactly. Like that's what I mean about sort of the legitimacy, using it like sort of non-ironically, just using it, because you think that it's a good effect, through to using it ironically, through to not again. Like, it's so hard to know what people are doing, because it's so overused and so ridiculous that whenever I hear it, I just assume that someone's doing it as a joke. Because I think there was a period of time where if you heard something auto-tuned, it's they're taking the piss out of it. But now I just don't know whether someone's doing it just to say, haha, this is funny, or like, no, I'm just using this.
I mean, there's plenty of songs now where, especially, again, hip-hop vocals, where you've got one person who's using the Cher note jumping effect, and then they'll cut to the backing vocalists, but then they've got the old-fashioned originally intended auto-tune effect on their voice, just the standard pitch smoothing effect as well.
Absolutely.
So it's like no one on this track is actually singing.
No one knows what the fuck's going on.
The notes that you're hearing, this is, I don't know.
Exactly. So, look, I don't know. I think for me, auto-tune, it's sort of dog shit, and it just annoys me now.
Yeah, so. I mean, you can't blame that on Cher, I guess. But I know what you mean. It's pretty
look, if you can, try and get a hold of the US Maxi CD single this time, because you got Believe, you got the Believe Fat and Funky Club Mix, Believe Club 69 Funk Club Mix,
nice.
Believe Almighty Definite Mix, the Exomania Mad Tim and the Mekon Club Mix. Love that Mad Tim.
Guys.
Club 69 Future Anthem Mix, Grips Heartbroken Mix, Club 69 Future Anthem Dub, Club 69 Funk Dub, Fat and Funky After Love Dub.
Wow.
So there's a lot of...
You've got a whole evening planned.
Oh, absolutely. Some of these mixes are 10 minutes long, so you've got yourself a good 90 minutes of sort of enjoyment. Just sit back and enjoy the old Almighty Definitive Mix and the Exomania Mad Tim.
The terrifying part about that is that that last one is called the Fat and Funky After Love Dub.
Yeah.
Does that imply that there are possibly gay dudes out there whose entire lovemaking session is just to the tune of Believe playing 10 times in a row?
I hope so.
With
After
one
love.
last Believe for afterwards while you're smoking a cigarette.
I think so, for sure. Just put a CD on, Steve. I hope it's that US Maxi CD single Believe, which is just 80 minutes straight of fucking Believe with different mixes. So, yeah, absolutely. The only thing is, I'm sure it's a lot of different moods as well, because the Fat and Funky Club Mix to me does say foreplay time, whereas Club 69 Future Anthem Dub, well, that's clearly something else, isn't it? So, look, does this have lyrical highlights?
Well, I mean, if I'm honest, not really. By all accounts, I know I keep mentioning gay people here. I'm not just indulging in stereotypes entirely, because by all accounts, this was calculatedly written as a gay anthem. I think that's one of the reasons why it took 7 people to write this song is because it was a couple of dudes toying with it for years and then bringing it round, and then they got Cher involved and they're trying to get it into something that she would want to do. So she didn't write any of the lyrics really, but yeah, and it not only that, but it's so it probably took a while to take off because it was in the clubs, then into the mainstream. But it certainly does have that theme of sort of overcoming heartbreak through struggle. Was on that list that you brought up way back in the 80s of what constitutes a gay anthem that was on some website. But I think we might have been talking about Fergal Sharkey or something.
We were.
Yeah. So it's got, that's the whole song. It's very sort of one note lyrics-wise, if not vocoder-wise. But yeah, so it's, what am I supposed to do? Sit around and wait for you? Well, I can't do that. And there's no turning back. I need time to move on. I need love to feel strong because I've had time to think it through and maybe I'm too good for you. Yeah. I reckon you could get better ideas just from following Cher's Twitter account. Because she is a brassy old bitch. She does not suffer fools gladly. And I reckon she could do better than that.
Absolutely. So look, now I think that means, Tom, that we are officially now in post-auto-tune territory. So every time there's a song that hits number 1 that features auto-tune, I'll ring a bell or something, or just say the word auto-tune or something like that. We'll tally them up and see where we go. Because I gather that every single fucking song from now on is going to have this in it. Once we get to that sort of T-Pain, it's ubiquitous now type territory. So, look, 7.8 mil on the Spotify for sure. Doesn't surprise me. 15 cents for this, I'm sure there are a billion of these around, so that doesn't surprise me either. So, there you go, 5 weeks of power. Up next, 28th of February, it is Britney Spears, Baby One More Time.
Wow.
There you go.
Speaking of cultural impact.
Exactly. Welcome, Britney, to the podcast. This is the first time that she's jumped in.
The oldest number 1 to one of the youngest.
One of the youngest, exactly
female
right.
number 1s. 9 weeks. This was.
Oh, yeah, no, it's a long time for this. This was a cultural phenomenon, as you mentioned, Tom, and we've sort of talked about this before, but this is a period of time where, cultural phenomenon was sort of something like a song that had a really big impact, reinvented the whole sort of thing, Britney came on the scene, young pop star, everyone knew her name almost immediately.
Yep.
It's not like today where a cultural phenomenon is like a dude like standing on a box or something, or someone, like drumming a wheelie bin going, on TikTok, and they're a cultural phenomenon. It's
and
not
something
that.
like Spice Girls, you could tell she was a legit cultural phenomenon because within 6 months there were 6 other people trying to do exactly the same thing. This is where Christina Aguilera, Mandy Moore, etc., all these other young ingenue type blonde, attractive, over-sexualised young ladies were in the charts. Not that that's a new thing for pop music, but they were obviously Britney influenced at the time.
For sure. And much like people my parents' age probably reminisce about where were you where, at the moon landing, where was that, or sort of where were you the first time you heard the Beatles or something. I think a lot of people, for our generation, like to talk about where were you the first time you saw the music video, Tom? Can you recall?
Oh, I was just cranking it in the lounge.
Yeah, no doubt. Not sure. Probably on Rage. probably somewhere on a TV. Probably, maybe in a shop. When shops used to have TVs and they play music videos in there. So
they never let you back in the shop after that.
No, exactly.
I do know that. Even the video was hugely influential. Billboard voted it the best video of the 90s. I can't remember. I don't know when they voted it that, but yeah.
Yep.
She's 16 in that video, by the way. But remember, if you're stuck for video ideas, you can never go wrong hypersexualizing school children. It never goes out of fashion. Nowadays, this would just be empowering, but yeah. I think at the time, it was getting towards, it was nearly 2000. Like, it's not like people didn't think this is possibly creepy as fuck. People complained about it.
Yep.
But I think at the time it was thought that because she had so much agency involved in it, that it was kind of, I'm not sure if people were talking about empowerment and stuff then. It was sort of the girl power thing, and I think that's how they got away with it, sort of thing. And also because in the lyrics, there's no winking quality to this song. She does it straight down the barrel, dead earnest.
Yeah.
Like, and she's not kind of joking about how much, being a slutty schoolgirl, nor is she winking at creepy older men or anything like that. It's just a sort of,
Yeah, wasn't the with the music video? Didn't they have a clothing budget of like $50 or something?
Yeah, they got all the clothes from Kmart, which one of the guys said, which kind of makes it look a bit more realistic because they're supposed to look like high school kids. She was meant to be wearing a shirt and jeans, but in wardrobe she asked for a school uniform because she said it would be more realistic.
Because it's set in a high school. Yeah.
Yes, and then it was shot in Venice High School, the same school where Grease was filmed. And just in case you weren't aware that Britney Spears was from the South, her love interest in the video is played by her real-life cousin, Chad.
Oh, good. It's good to know.
That hot guy in the gym who she's making eyes at.
Fuck yeah.
That's her cousin.
Fantastic. But yeah, and I think, as you mentioned, cheap clothes, I think it was her idea to tie the school uniform up, sort of do that, make it a bit sexier. And yeah, look, it's a video clip that everyone knows to this very day.
Yeah. Also, the choreography was a lot more exciting back then. Her videos at the time had, the best of the,
Absolutely.
the modern day equivalent of Cardi B or whatever, the cutting edge stuff.
But I guess we need to address the elephant in the room, Tom. Were the lyrics always sketchy as fuck? Or is that something that just nobody bothered paying attention to?
Yeah, people did complain about that too.
Hit Me Baby One More Time. The guy who wrote this song, who's Swedish, he indicated that what he meant was hit me up on the telephone.
Yes, he claimed he thought that meant call me.
Hit me baby one more time, call me baby one more time on the telephone. But there's a few problems with that. One, nobody fucking anywhere has ever said that ever. And two, even if they did, he shortened it to rather than hit me on the telephone one more time. If the song was just called Call Me Baby One More Time, would have made more sense maybe, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway. Look,
I mean, at least they stopped short of giving her a black eye in the video or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly right. So, but yeah, the song was written and produced, as I said, by a dude out of Sweden. His name is Max Martin.
Yes.
Now, this is pretty crazy, but in terms of number one songs written or co-written that have reached number one in the US on the Billboard charts, Paul McCartney, 32.
Yep.
Obviously. John Lennon, 26. This guy, Max Martin, 25.
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous to think that obviously Lennon and McCartney wrote all those Beatles songs, solo stuff, Wings, whatever the fuck, that wonderful Christmas time bullshit that Paul McCartney does, all those songs. And then you got this guy that probably isn't really a household name. Most people probably don't really know who he is. But he's written or co-written 25 songs that have hit number one in the US. And yeah, that's insane.
It's crazy. Over 2 decades, he's still working now.
Yep.
He wrote, just among others, I Want It That Way, NSYNC, Baby One More Time, It's Gonna Be Me by NSYNC, I Kissed a Girl, California Girls, Teenage Dream, Last Friday Night, We're Never Ever Getting Back Together, Raw by Katy Perry, Dark Horse by Katy Perry, Shake It Off, Can't Stop the Feeling by JT, Blinding Lights by The Weeknd, and a couple of other of The Weeknd's hits. Like, it's nuts. It really is nuts. He's worked with Bieber, Ed Sheeran, Ariana Grande, Selena Gomez, Coldplay, Pink, and on and on and on. And, like, as my brother once pointed out, like, as you say, most people don't even heard of this guy.
Yep.
But, I think it's generationally, as you get older, there's a tendency to listen to the pop charts and think, fuck, all these songs are starting to sound pretty much the same. But with the modern charts, thinking they sound pretty homogenised, there might possibly be a reason for that, e.g. that half of the stuff in the top 10 is written by one dude.
Yeah. Exactly right, exactly. And not only that, out of those number ones, he also produced 23 number one hit singles. So
yeah, those are just the ones he wrote.
He writes the songs, but then he also produces the songs for the artists in the studio. So that's pretty impressive. So he's equal with George Martin with 23 in the US. So it's very, very impressive. So look, as you said, Tom, all the songs sound the same because it's just the same dude pumping them out in a basement somewhere in Stockholm.
And producing them in the same style too, like giving them the same polish and the same sort of feel.
Yeah, exactly. So look, I guess that's probably a good point in the podcast, Tom, to mention Britney Spears' conservatorship. It's in the news recently. She's been freed of that, which is fantastic.
Oh, she has? I wasn't sure what
the
latest development was.
So yeah, look, most people know what's going on with that. For the past 15 years or something, Britney Spears' dad has effectively controlled all of her finances and what clothes she can wear and what she does.
Since she had a sort of nervous breakdown in the when the early aughts,
Yeah, exactly. And look,
flipped out, shaved her head,
for sure. And
so forth.
she married K-Fed, so obviously she's mentally unsound. I mean, that's sort of
True. I mean,
so.
after one court case, the judge gave K-Fed custody of the kids. And,
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if the judge is looking at K-Fed and going, well, he seems like the more reliable parent than you,
Yeah.
that might be
You
cause for
probably
concern.
fucked up. Yeah, absolutely. So maybe the courts, it was in their best interest to maybe look after her, but yeah, not for such a period of time.
No, not what she's. You know, now she's been back to normal for a long time.
Yeah,
she's
exactly.
been performing in Vegas for a fucking decade or something
Yep.
like that.
Well, I think that's the thing. People probably just expected that, hey, look, she's having a bit of a hard time at the moment. Wouldn't it be good if someone just took control of her finances so she doesn't, like, flush it down a toilet or do something completely reckless for, you know, like 6 months or something, and it's like, oh, yeah, she seems fine now. You're good to go. But the dad was obviously just milking the fuck out of this to get as much money as he could, and various other people. So, look, free Britney. She's free. Good on that. Let's hope that we can see her, you know, out here at Crown Casino, just pumping out whatever the equivalent of Vegas is.
Yeah, it's like Olympic sports people and female pop stars that start young have about an equivalent track rate of mad parents.
Oh,
I think.
yeah. No
It doesn't.
doubt.
You don't have to have mad parents to get to the top.
Yep.
And and if you have mad parents, you may still not get to the top, but
Yep.
they do seem to go hand in hand quite a lot.
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
Seems to be pretty common.
The
Even-
dad who's sort of like, oh, my kid has a little bit of talent. I'm just going to fucking make them dance and do singing lessons every night of the
Even
week.
fucking Meghan Markle recently,
Yeah.
Amy Winehouse and stuff. It's just, I don't know.
absolutely.
It just seems to be a recurring theme.
Yeah, Beyonce, I think, has got the dad that controlled the whole operation when she was younger. So
The film about just came out with Will Smith. The film about Sarah Williams, Venus and Sarah Williams, their mad dad as well.
Oh,
Who's another weirdo.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. You sort of, on one hand, if you're that kid, it's sort of my childhood was shitty. But on the other hand, if my dad hadn't been so insane, no one would know who I am because maybe I wouldn't be a tennis star. I don't know.
Pushing people past their. Just that's what like Whiplash is about, isn't it? You know, like
Yep.
to what extent is the value of psychologically tormenting someone if it produces results
exactly.
worth doing? You know, like especially when it's children. Like in Whiplash, I think he's supposed to be like a uni student, but he
Yeah.
comes across as an adult.
Yep.
But when you're looking at, you know, a 14-year-old or a 12-year-old and pushing them beyond the, you know, they're not really in a position to be able to make decisions.
No, exactly.
That's sort
Exactly.
of- anyway.
So look, I'm glad Britney Spears' dad pushed her into the Mouseketeers or whatever the fuck it was she did before this, and she's got some great hits. So I just forgot to mention when I did mention K-Fed. Remember his song Popo Zao? Remember that? Popo Zao.
I remember the
Popo
name.
Zao.
I don't think I've ever heard it.
Oh, it's fantastic. It does feature such lyrics as "I want to see your kitty and a little bit of titty." So, good.
Okay.
So Britney said, "I'm going to marry that guy," which is
Yep.
fantastic. So, look, dog shit. 22 million listeners for Britney. Doesn't surprise me. 47 cents
hell
for
no.
this on Spotify. K-Fed's lyrics were dog shit. What about the lyrics to this?
Well, I mean, you know, we're talking a Swedish guy. There's a touch of English as a second language.
Yeah.
Like you said, he claims to have thought that hit me was slang for call me.
Yep.
Also, you've got, oh, baby, baby, the reason I breathe is you. Boy, you got me blinded. And that's a bit weird, even for high school, really. But,
Yeah.
but, you know, it's just think of it as Eurodance and, you know, you'll get through it.
Absolutely. Look, yeah, this is a hit. I don't think anyone can deny that. Everyone knows this song, don't they? I can't imagine. You'd have to be dead inside to
That's
not know
right.
what
I
this
didn't
song is,
bother
so-
going too deep
No,
into it there.
Exactly. So, look, that's great. 9 weeks for Britney, as you mentioned. Up next, for 7 weeks, so another lengthy appearance in the podcast, we have TLC with No Scrubs. Now, Tom, what in the living fuck do these lyrics mean? Can you tell me?
Well, I didn't know at the time.
No.
I had no idea
No,
at the time.
either did I.
But,
Either did I.
Yeah.
But look, I love TLC. Don't get me wrong on that.
Scrub, it's a great song.
It's a fantastic song. So apparently Scrub, they're from Atlanta, TLC.
Yes. Yep.
So slang for a broke dude, can't get his shit together and always, trying to hit on chicks and acting like they're real cool and rad, but they're really just broke ass fuckwits apparently. TLC don't want no broke ass dudes hitting on them.
Every time I hear this song, I think of, or the expression Scrubs, I think of Window Licker by Aphex Twin.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that?
I sure am.
The video, and it starts off with those two dudes arguing in a car for a very long time, trying to pick up. One has this insane sort of centre-parted perm, and they both...
And the chicks are like, you fucking get out of here.
Yeah.
And then
I'll play your girl for real. And just trying to hit on them, and his friend keeps saying, I don't give a fuck. And they're just like, you better get out of here. And they just seem to think like, if they keep yelling at these girls from their parked car,
exactly,
it'll turn out well.
And then they get hit by the limo, obviously.
Yes, that song also came out about 2 months away from this song.
It's around that time.
If you haven't seen that video, you absolutely 100% should.
There was
I'll put the link on.
There was a period of time, probably late 90s, early 2000s, where every single person that guest program Rage played either Window Licker or Come to Daddy.
Yeah.
But they are great video clips. I think I've seen them a billion times. So they're both very different video clips. One's quite funny and the other one's quite scary.
Window Licker, it's kind of a parody of sort of 90s hip hop videos, but I mean, that's really underselling. Okay, just occasionally, someone does a parody of something that's so astonishingly effective that you kind of wonder why the genre doesn't just go, right, let's reset
just
from
implode,
here. We'll just not implode, not that anyone would stop making hip hop videos, but just go, we've got to think of something new to do. We cannot just have dudes jizzing champagne on each other, on chicks in bikinis anymore, But in real life, unfortunately, that doesn't happen. Otherwise, politicians would have to talk normally. But
there'd be a great reset frequently, but there never is.
I do wonder what happened to Chris Cunningham, though. I hope he's doing something interesting.
Yeah, he must be, isn't he? You don't know?
He hasn't done much. He's done a few commercials and stuff, but, I mean, he should have been directing films and shit. Fuck, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe got a lucrative job in the advertising industry. I hope not. I hope he's working on some long game 30-year movie project.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They might be doing a KLF thing when they retire for 27 years and then come back with a book.
Call me a nerd. He nearly did a film version of Neuromancer with William Gibson.
Oh, yeah.
They were working on it together, which, if you're nerdy enough, that's one of the great lost movie projects like Jodorowsky's Dune or things of that nature. Anyway, that's enough about that bollocks.
Yeah, we'll move back
to
TLC. Back to TLC time, yeah. So, look, T-Boz, Lisa Left Eye Lopez and Chili. Chili took the lead vox on this song. Usually she didn't, but she took the lead vox on this one for the first time. Obviously a huge hit. And, look, talking about no scrubs, I don't want any scrubs. Yep. I think that's fair enough. We know what a scrub is, some just fucking annoying cunt. They say we don't want that, but that wasn't good enough, Tom. That wasn't good enough by Sporty Thieves. Okay. Some dog shit hip-hop group who just went, no, we can't take this. So they hit back with a reply track. I love a reply. Everybody loves that when someone, they feel like they've been, this isn't like someone does a diss track. Yep. Someone disses, and then someone who's been dissed comes back with a response.
Yes.
But in this, TLC aren't dissing Sporty Thieves. They're just dissing dickhead dudes in general. But Sporty Thieves
took it personally.
They're obviously fucking morons. So they hit back with a reply track called No Pigeon.
Okay.
It's fucking woeful. So it goes, a pigeon is a girl who be walking by my rimmed up blue, brand new sparkling 5. Her feet hurt, so does she want to ride? But she's fronting like she can't say hi. What?
Okay.
Dog shit. So
this is about girls who want to get in your car.
No, they won't. They've got sore feet from working too much, but they won't get in. So your chicks ain't getting nada. Your pussy ain't worth the ramada.
Sure.
Uh-oh. Anyway, your friend looks hotter. Uh-oh. Game is something that we got a lot of. So I can't believe that there's a diss track to like a response to this that is so woeful. Like you'd feel embarrassed, wouldn't you? Like if someone was saying, "Oh, you know that fucking No Scrubs thing? Yeah, bro, we did this. You know, we did like a response track."
Yeah.
And then you tell your friends to listen to it, and they're like, "Oh, bro, you probably should have just done nothing." That sucks.
Because you're really marking yourself out as a scrub, aren't you?
Yeah, well, exactly right. So
how dare you say that about Scrubs, which is what I am.
for sure. And, you know, I'm a piece of shit dude, and I take offence at you calling me out from that. So look, completely ridiculous. Look, the music video for this is also great. Looks like TLC have gone straight to the video shoot from a bondage rave 40 years in the future.
Yeah.
They've got some of the wackest outfits. I've got no idea what's going on with any of those outfits, any of the hair or any of the makeup. I don't understand any of it.
Yeah, it's a weird one. There was... Well, if you ever idly wondered why every hip-hop video for the entire 90s was filmed inside a coloured box through a fisheye lens with the singer in sunglasses reflecting a ring light and wardrobe from Magatu's Derelict collection, that was a guy called Hype Williams, who directed just more videos than you could count during the 90s. My personal fave is Busta Rhymes' Gimme Some More, which is a bit like a public safety announcement where Busta graphically illustrates the dangers of flip mode, a health condition that looks a lot like doing PCP in a children's playground while gigantic women twerk their asses at you. But I mean, you know, credit where credit's due. Busta Rhymes single-handedly prevented the flip mode epidemic of '99, and I think a lot of people overlook that
They
now.
do, absolutely
You know,
right,
I think
yeah.
his music really overshadowed that. But
The flip mode, yeah, you're right. He saved a lot of lives with that. And look, what happened to that fisheye lens? No, did they discontinue producing it or something?
he's still working now,
Yeah.
old Hype, or he was until 2019 and so forth.
I did check out his Wikipedia, and there's a fucking lot of music videos on there.
It's mostly hip hop, although he has done some rock stuff as well. But yeah, I think even he got sick of the fisheye lens in about 2005 and stopped doing it. Yeah.
It was everywhere there for a while.
Oh
Definitely.
yeah, but I mean, he obviously was doing the clothes and stuff as well because there's a distinct vibe to these, you know, videos. That
Yeah, absolutely. So, look, Left Eye Lopez, R.I.P. We do miss you.
Oh, yes,
Lisa
yeah.
Left Eye died in a car crash. I don't think too far past this song. Maybe, 99? Maybe 2001, 2002?
I think she was 32 or so.
Yep, so R.I.P. You are missed, but she did drop a sick rap in the middle of this. She always does a lot of raps in the TLC, which is good. With the lyrics, let's get the focus of the picture in front of me to get as clear as DVD on digital TV screens. Can't get any clearer than that, Tom.
can't.
There's no better quality than DVD on a TV screen, so that's as clear as you're going to get. So look, it's interesting though that the vocal melody in Ed plagiarist Sheeran's 2017 hit Shape of You bears much resemblance to the one used in this song.
Yeah.
So much so that Sheeran decided to add No Scrubs songwriters to the credits of Shape of You to avoid a lawsuit. So that's not his first rodeo. Sorry, his first go at the rodeo. He seems to just fucking add people all the time. It's like, holy shit, this song sounds exactly like that. And just to sort of like, I don't want to get sued. You just add the songwriters there and go, oh, yeah, you guys are songwriters this as well.
I mean, in this instance, he probably thought he was safe from comparison because this song came out in 99, so his demographic wouldn't have even been born for another decade. Plus the primary differentiator that whereas this is three black women singing a good song, Shape of You is more like using a cake icer to squeeze cold dog shit into your ear canal.
Yeah, it does suck. Yeah.
So, that's, maybe in court he was thinking that would protect him.
Yeah, for sure. They're that different. They're so different because I'm a white dude and they're three black chicks. Good versus terrible. Yeah, you can't even tell them. So, absolutely. But yeah, look, it seems to be something that happens a lot. And we'll probably talk about this in future podcasts where there is a lot of, let's just add. So some of these songs, it's like, why are there 19 songwriters on this? It's because, we didn't want to have a lawsuit, and that sounds exactly like that, so it's just added in.
To be fair, that was the old rock and roll technique.
Yeah, that's true.
From back in the day when people would say, if new Led Zeppelin album came out and there's a song on it that's got a bit and it sounds just like your song.
Yep.
Rather than actually paying the person any money, you would just thank them in the liner notes. You'd just say, cheers to Davo for that guitar solo that I thirdly ripped off or whatever.
Exactly.
And that was considered that was considered fair game. Whereas,
Yeah, exactly. Look, one thing I will say about Hype Williams, sorry, I should have mentioned this before, but yeah, he's got all those music videos. When he hands out his resume, obviously, someone's just like, oh, mate, I need to do a music video, and then Hype comes in and is like, oh, yeah, here's my resume, and you flip through it. Does he cross out the R. Kelly ones now? It's sort of like... Just like going like bump and grind? Is he like, oh, fucking hell, that's got a whole new meaning now?
I'm assuming you put the master tapes back in the closet.
Yeah, no doubt. You'd cross those ones off. You'd put Snow in bold, though. I think you'd bold that up to sort of like pad it out. Because if you're sort of losing 10 R. Kellys, maybe you increase the font from like 12 point to 14 or something, bold up Snow so it looks a bit more padded out. Although this dude doesn't need to because he's got 200 things there. So look,
Snow was lucky to fucking get this guy. He wouldn't have been able to get him later on.
I can't believe that he did.
Shit.
So yeah, look, 7 million for TLC.
Oh man.
Which is good, 22 cents for this. Look, I'm pouring one out right now for Lisa Left Eye Lopez.
Do you know why she was called Left Eye?
No, I don't actually, Tom.
When she started out, late teens, sort of guy from New Edition, who she was dating at the time, said he liked her left eye better than her right eye because it was slightly more slanted.
Yep.
So
one of the members of New Edition.
Yes.
Wasn't Bobby Brown, was it?
I like to it. Let's say it was.
Either that or Belle Biv or DeVoe.
So by the time of their first album, which was called On the TLC Tip, I think.
Yep.
So it's 1992, you're 21, you're called Left Eye, and you want to draw attention to that.
Yeah.
Your band just had a hit album, and it's 1992, so Safe Sex is the coolest thing out.
Yep.
How do you draw attention to your left eye, Ben?
Oh, I can't imagine how you would do that. What do you do?
Well, what you do is you get a franger, a condom, and you put it into the lens of your left eye. So you now have of your glasses.
Yeah, you're wearing your glasses.
So you now have no depth perception, and you've got a shiny condom inside your glasses.
That's great.
And you wear that. I'm guessing that was also at this time the band looked exactly like Girlfriend as well. Everyone's just wearing knitted, flowery, giant hats.
And she's got a fucking condom.
And she's got
in
a franger in one side of her eye.
How many years did she do that for? 20, 25 years?
Not too long.
No.
Not too long. She went on to do other things like get her eyebrow pierced, do a line under her eye or whatever. But
yeah, definitely.
That was why.
You would walk into, like restaurants or like just a party and be like, what the fuck have you got a condom in your left eye of your glasses? Oh, just trying to draw attention to it.
For a while, I thought she had one eye.
Yeah,
and because her eye would often be covered up, like she would have her hair down over her eye, or a discarded condom poked in one eye like a kind of rubbery monocle.
Yeah.
But instead, she had a perfectly normal eye. She just couldn't see anything because she had a condom in front of it.
Yeah, so, it was still in the packet though, or no?
I think so. Yeah, but it
wasn't just Bobby Brown had like banged her and then flipped one and she went up through it. I mean, that's just there's a very high chance of getting an eye infection. I think if you've just got Bobby Brown's used condom, just sort of in front of your eye. I guess
that can't be hygienic.
No, it can't be at all. So look, that's an interesting fact, Tom. Enjoy that. In terms of the lyrics, do you think does No Scrubs make more sense or less sense than Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls in the TLC sort of looking at their discography? Both are great songs.
I like them too. I think they make sense in the larger picture, but when you get into some of the smaller particulars, then maybe they make less sense. But I assume a lot of that is me being too white and too not from Atlanta to understand.
Yeah, don't go chasing waterfalls. Stick to the rivers and the streams that you're used to. So I get the overall vibe of don't dream too big or don't. Yeah. But then they also seem like big dreamers themselves. So are they sending the wrong message? Well,
exactly. That pops up again later on this year as well. That same exact thing that you're talking about.
Yep.
In the J-Lo Jennifer Lopez song. But I think Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls is one of those songs where people know what it means because the music video illustrates, very literally with three sort of Pussy Control style, 3 short stories that illustrate the same theme over and over again. And so people know what it is. But I think if you only had the lyrics to go off, I'm not sure if I would pick up on the metaphor of what Chasing Waterfalls was. Whereas even if you don't know what scrubs are, by the end of the song, you've got a pretty good idea.
But she
hanging
actually-
out the passenger side of his boyfriend's ride trying to holler at me. I mean, even white people can get that, especially if you've lived in Launceston and you spend half of your teens having someone yell, "Fuck it!" out of a car at you.
Yeah, exactly. Look, and I think TLC were cognizant of the fact that people wouldn't understand because they do sort of, you know, I think the second line of the song is like, a scrub is a guy, as you said, scrub is a guy that won't get no love from me. So they sort of just go, people get, the record label are like, do you reckon anyone's going to have any fucking idea what you're talking about? And they're just like, can you just put a line in that just says, a scrub is like a guy that won't get no love from me?
It's a dictionary definition,
yeah. Exactly.
It's, in fact, not only it's such a dictionary definition that she says they're also known as a buster.
Yeah, exactly.
So as well, you're getting 2 definitions for the price of one.
You sort of, all she had to do was sort of put in there, you know, like adjective or something like that, you know, and it's sort of that. Yeah. But yeah, you get that number 1, you know, 1 guy that won't get no love from me, 2 buster, and you're like, yeah, I know what's going on.
Right.
So look, they've gone all out to make sure that people that don't understand can understand, and I respect that, even if after listening to it I still sort of wasn't 100% sure what it was, but you know, everyone knows that it's just a dickhead. You can piece that together, I think. So it could have just been called dickheads.
Yeah, the kind of anybody who yells at anyone out of a car, pretty much, you're a knob.
Yeah, that's true. Exactly. So look, all good. Apart from the rap, apart from Lisa Left Eye Lopez's rap, what are the lyrical highlights for this?
My highlights were her rap as well, I think we covered it pretty well. I liked satisfy my appetite with something spectacular, check your vernacular, and I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty cool.
That is good.
I think one of the reasons, after this album, but before she died, they had a bit of a falling out. I think they might have got back together again for they were going to work on something new, but I think she was getting annoyed with the other members of TLC because they would only let her rap in songs. Like they kept, so she would go off and do raps in other songs, but even then, when she worked with other people, they only wanted her to do raps, whereas she wanted to do backing vocals and sing and stuff as well. So anyway,
taken too soon. I think
it sucks.
She was like when she died, she was like in Haiti or somewhere trying to like doing some charity thing or raising money for something.
She crashed her car.
Yep.
She might. They didn't say whether it was alcohol or drug induced, but I think she was.
No,
just
I think someone hit her. I think someone
someone was in the wrong lane or something, and she drove off. No, it sucks. It's bullshit.
Absolutely. So that's sad. But look, we've still got the music, Tom. We'll always have the music.
Yeah.
So until YouTube implodes, we'll always have that music video of them wearing some weird ass bondage gear and then that rap, so it's all good. Go check it out. I shall put it into the playlist, so check
Let's
out.
do it.
Cool. All right, up next for 3 weeks is Sixpence None the Richer, Kiss Me. Now, Tom, you knew you were hot property if you were featured on the Dawson's Creek soundtrack. Is that correct?
Sure did, yes. Although, I've got to admit, in my memory, that was the primary reason why this song was a big hit. But I think it was actually because it was in a film first or something.
Tom, it was. It featured in the Freddie Prinze Jr. vehicle, She's All That.
Yes.
So I believe that's what sort of projected this into the stratosphere. Any young people out there who don't know what Freddie Prinze Jr. is, he's sort of fucking... Who's the modern day equivalent? Zac Efron, or is it not even? No, he's old now as well.
It'd be someone like Zac Efron, I guess. Kind of a pretty boy. Although in the 90s, the pretty boys didn't have to look like they'd been training with the SAS for 17 years.
Exactly. Now, look, we've talked about in previous episodes how Hollywood will remake fucking anything except for C. Thomas Howell as a soul man, because, we know that you can't blackface to get into university these days. They won't let you do that. But I have a feeling that this type of film, is this another film that they just won't let you make anymore? And if anyone doesn't know what She's All That is, you might not have seen this, but you would have seen a film that's the exact same fucking story as
this.
It's
like a body swap film. It's one of those things that's almost a genre unto themselves. Which
exactly.
Is
so it's the jock in this film, Freddie Prinze Jr., who's dared you know, someone says, I dare you
Yeah.
to go and date the fucking nerdiest, least popular shit chick at school. But at the end, it turns out that once she takes her glasses off and brushes her hair, she's actually fucking hot as all shit.
She's
Now-
also hot as all shit before those
Of
two
course
things
she is,
as
yeah,
well.
exactly. But that just seems to be one of those things where, look, in real life, that's not going to happen because it's just like, she's fucking smoking hot. It's just that she's a nerd.
They recently did remake this.
Did they?
Just like this year, I think. I've seen the trailer for it. I was watching it via some other YouTube people that I like. And it's absolute bollocks, as
No
you can
doubt.
imagine. It's gender swapped.
Yep. Oh, of course.
For
Yep.
good or bad, but yeah, I guess that makes it a bit. I mean, but even then, the gender swapped version has been done before as well. That's not even a new idea. The girl who I mean, that's what like Clueless is. That idea of the girl trying to remake the. Is that Clueless?
Oh, look, there's heaps of films where the chick tries. Yeah, exactly.
Someone trying to remake someone into. You know, it's such an obvious thing, and in the gender swap. What makes it even more annoying in this one is, again, the guy's hot. He's got like a beanie on and a wig. So he takes the wig and the beanie off and suddenly he's attractive.
Yeah.
And the girl, her job is she's an influencer.
Oh, in the modern one, yeah, great. Jesus, fuck that, yeah. Look, I've got no time for that, but look, I've got more time for the original Tom because it's a great ending because what happens is the jock ends up falling. Freddie Prinze Jr., the jock, he falls in love with her.
Oh my God.
Because it's like, holy shit.
But she was so fugly when she had that hat
She
on.
just took the hat off, took the glasses off, and she was fucking smoking. So he falls in love with her, but then she finds out, Tom, that it was a bet.
Oh,
She finds
yes.
out that, so she's like, the
Would this
quarterback.
be exactly 2/3 of the way through the film by any
I
chance?
think so. Wait for the third act though, Tom. So, oh my God, holy shit, yeah, it's a bet. So she's all like, I thought you really, really liked me, but then it was a bet. But then he wins her back. He's the coolest guy in school. So he's sort of like, even though the fact that she finds out that the only reason he went out with her in the first place was because of a bet, that's okay. So what happens is the film ends in this very spectacular note. So Freddie Prinze Jr., so he adheres to the terms of the bet. So what happens is that, you know, they end up falling in love anyway, and she's like, oh, forget that, that's okay, we can still be together. So the terms of the bet are that he hits the stage at graduation nude. Okay. That was the bet. If he ends up falling in love with a chick or something who's unlovable, except that she's very, attractive and that's so good, he has to go on stage nude. So he goes up there with just his mortarboard on, a soccer ball in front of his nuts. Then he goes up on stage, and then at the end of the film, he throws the soccer ball away. Okay. And his new girlfriend, who was the nerd before, she captures the ball and just like laughs like, ha 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 ha. The whole school can see my boyfriend's cock, and then that's roll credits, and that's the fucking end of it.
Not many people saw She's All That Too, which was about Freddie Prinze Jr., aged 43, returning to normal life after spending 25 years in jail for exposing himself to 1,000 children.
Yeah, that's true.
Will he get his job back at Blockbuster?
Oh,
Will his
I can hope
Aryan
so.
Nation face tattoo stop him from banging Stifler's mum?
Yeah, exactly. Look,
I
these
mean,
are good questions. That's a film I can't wait to see, so that'll be good. And they'll tie that into this He's All That reboot.
Oh, it's part of the
so.
He's All That universe now.
Yeah, exactly. So look, that film's dog shit. Don't know. I just don't. I can't see Hollywood saying, yeah, let's make a film where someone only dates someone. But
It's the basic idea will never go away.
Yeah.
Like the body swap thing, it's never going anywhere.
No.
The fucking the newest one is the Groundhog Day thing. They just oh my God. Except they used to take a while. There'd be 5 years between these films. Now it's about 3 weeks.
I think someone's just said, it's okay to be in a time loop. Time loop's a whole genre now, so it's just...
apparently,
Yeah, look, absolutely. So
Anyway.
So moving on to the song itself, we've talked way too much about Freddie Prinze Jr. and She's All That, but it is one of my favourite films of all time, as I mentioned. Sixpence None the Richer, they are an alternative Christian rock group. So straight off the bat, you know this is going to be dog shit. Is that a fair term? As a genre, is there anything worse than Christian music? Generally.
Well, look, let's face it, Ben, you love DC Talk.
I do love
It's okay.
DC Talk, yeah, exactly. So,
I mean, Christian music, it goes across all genres.
Yeah, it does.
As long as they're traditionally profitable in the mainstream industry, and there's money to be made by getting American Christians to buy it.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially American Christians whose parents would not allow them to listen to the mainstream non-Christian version, which is still going, by the way, in case you think the internet might have, Yeah. My mum used to get these catalogues when we were... After I stopped going to church, but while she would get like this Christian junk mail, basically, and she would have Christian music catalogues, and they were exactly like those ones that you used to get from like those, the ones where you'd send away, you'd get 2 free albums, and then you could like scan them for a month before they would, and they'd just have a list of music. It was like that, except it was all Christian.
Yep.
And like down to the designs of the album covers, you could see it and you'd go, oh, that looks a bit like Pearl Jam. And then you'd read the description and they'd be called, Ruby, Toast or something, and then the album would be called Nine, and then it would be about this Seattle Christian band about, finding the love of Jesus on the streets.
Definitely.
It looks like Eddie Vedder, but he's wearing a headband with a cross on it and stuff. It was just every genre was covered. Every single genre you could think of.
Yeah.
Like any currently fashionable thing, there was a Christian version of it.
Of course, yeah.
Whereas,
you're right. It was just an inferior product to appeal to people that weren't allowed to listen to the blasphemous...
Yeah. And down to things like death metal and hip-hop and
absolutely.
stuff, gangster rap like DC Talk, they were from the streets.
Yep, definitely.
By the comparison to that, I personally reckon Sixpence None the Richer, or 6P, as us fans call them, were actually pretty cool. The lead singer eventually basically sort of gave up on the traditional Christian scene because she was sick of having to justify her existence and the lyrics and not being sanctimonious enough. This is the trade-off. You get to make a lot of money playing to a Christian fan base who are locked into you and will not deviate. But the price is a heavy one, Ben. Would you want to be a rock star if you had to go to church every Sunday, write songs about telling kids not to bone before marriage, never take drugs, never mention gay people under any circumstances, and also nobody would take you the slightest bit seriously who wasn't a Christian, outside of that world? It's a heavy price to pay. And I think a lot of them eventually just go, fuck it, I'm not doing interviews with you twats anymore. I'm not asking any more fucking questions about who I'm married to or whatever. I might do occasional Christian lyrics and I might play at Christian venues sometimes, but I'm not going to be part of this kind of insular world anymore.
Absolutely.
And by the standards of that, I reckon, I listened to her. Lee Nash is her name, and she seemed pretty cool. I heard an interview with her. And I also really like her voice in this, if you'll forgive me. It's a bit smoky, but it's perfect for a song about teenage love, I reckon, which is what this is. And she does it without using any sort of 90s catchphrases. There's no affected country bullshit, and she's not trying to sound hip or cool either. It's just a very earnest sort of song, but that's what kind of makes it work, especially for shit like She's All That and Dawson's Creek. Like, it's trying to sound like First Love before you've gone all craggy and cynical, but she manages to pull it off without sounding sort of cute or twee either, I reckon. I think it's just on the right side of twee. But maybe I might be biased because of my love for Dawson and his awesome creek that he hung out at.
Look, Tom, I think in terms of the Dawson's Creek soundtrack, this is a couple of notches above Sean Mullen's Lullaby. I will say that, which is one of the worst songs of the 90s.
I would also put this a couple of notches above the Dawson's Creek theme song as well, which I'm not a huge fan of.
Yeah, I don't want to wait. Yeah, exactly. So, look, I don't know the complete track listing of the Dawson's Creek soundtrack, but this is probably one of the best songs on there.
I think so, to the extent that I think some people remember this as the Dawson's Creek theme song. If you mention Dawson's Creek and you go, oh, remember that soundtrack, some people will start going, half of them will go, I don't want to wait, and the other half will go, Kiss Me, because they remember that,
Yeah, Kiss Me's the first track on there, so you know they've started off with a good one. They've got Sophie B. Hawkins with Lose Your Way. Chantel Kravazuk, Feels Like Home. Fuck no, so that is Shooter. Life's a Bitch. I don't know who those guys are.
Shooter
McGavin. Yep. Ready for a Fall. PJ Olsen. Stay You by Wood. This is worse than I can remember. Nikki Hassman. Sean Mullen's Shimmer. Sorry, he didn't even do Lullaby on this one. Rockabye. Lullaby. Heather Nova. Curtis Stigers. Sozzy. Adam Cohen. Jessica Simpson. Bewitched. Soap, and then
almighty.
Paula Cole, sorry, not Paula Abdul, with the I Don't Want to Wait theme. So look, yeah, this is definitely one of the better songs on there. A lot of the rest are on there I've not heard, so they sound total
I think
piss.
in the style of, what was that other? Oh, in the style of the Titanic, that was so successful that they released a second, more music from Dawson's Creek
Dawson's
later on.
Creek.
Yes,
Yep.
exactly.
with even more hits. So,
So
look,
by the standards of that, I reckon this is pretty good. It's
For
very, very simple, but I reckon it works for what it is.
Yeah,
But that's just my opinion. I'm a big dork, so who fucking knows?
oh, look, that's fine, Tom. This was the most played radio song in 1999 in
Yeah, I
11
saw
countries.
that.
So
Fucking hell.
Canada, USA, Australia, Japan, and Israel. So 1999, this was the biggest song. There you go, which is great. In the video clip, one of the dudes in Sixpence None the Richer is holding it. They're sitting on a bench. He's holding a TV, and not like a fucking flat screen, like an old school tube TV.
CRT,
Probably weighs about 50 kilos, and he's sitting on a park bench holding this TV, watching Sixpence None the Richer play live, somehow warping time and space in the process.
It's the video. He's watching.
he's watching
the
them.
own, Yeah, it's so weird, and it's such a boring video. It is
Yeah.
literally just the band sitting on a park bench. That's it. Nothing else happens. They just kind of half sing, sort of half play the song. They look uncomfortable, like their shoulders are squashed. That's
Yep.
it. That's the full video.
Yeah, look,
I
it's-
was expecting at least some a bit of pacey clips thrown in or something.
I thought they'd have.
Jen throwing up outside that party
Yep.
when she nearly double teamed those guys.
Yeah.
that had happened.
That would happen. Dawson's iMac.
Dawson crying perhaps,
in the
in
boat,
slow motion,
going
yeah.
over the river, something like that. Little Joey Potter, like hanging out, doing something. But none of that shit.
No.
So maybe some twerking.
Oh,
from one of
and
Sixpence
by
None
the
the
way,
Richer.
too, lead singer, who's the only female
Yep.
personage, woman in the band. God, stop saying female, that sounds so dumb. She's got that fucking haircut.
She
She's
does,
got
yeah.
that Raggedy Ann scruffy punk bowl cut thing.
She
as
may
well.
have been in the Believe video, Tom. She might have actually been
Perhaps
in there.
so. But I do like her voice. I think it's a cool voice.
Now, look, if you're wondering about the name Sixpence None the Richer, it comes from a C.S. Lewis book called Mere Christianity. A little boy asks his father if he can get a sixpence, okay? A very small amount of English currency in use at the time, to go and get a gift for his father.
Okay.
The father gladly accepts the gift, and he's really happy with it, but also realises that he's not any richer for the transaction.
Because he gave his kid
He
the
gave
money
the kid
to
the
buy
money
the
and then got
present
it
for
back.
him.
Exactly. C.S. Lewis was comparing that to his belief in God, that God had given him, the gift that we possess and serve him the way we should do it humbly, realising how we got the gifts in the first place. What the fuck is C.S. Lewis talking about?
I don't know, but I'm guessing he wasn't a big Death Row Records fan or
Oh,
a big Puff Daddy listener.
Yeah, probably not, but that's all right.
I mean, I get the first half, but
Yep.
I'm not entirely sure how it relates to God given.
That's the problem with Christianity, Tom. It's stupid because what happens is you take something like that where it's like, yes, the dad gives him the money, the kid gives him something, and he's like, I'm no richer. But also, you're wrong on that front, Dad, because your kid, you've given the kid the money, but they've gone out and selected something themselves that
Yes.
you wouldn't have got. So isn't the getting a gift, getting something that the surprise, the joy of having your kid,
Yes.
kids, if your kid is out earning money, then that's fucking wrong because you've sent
Yeah, well,
him,
exactly.
like, if you've sent him into the mines at age 4 to earn his own money to buy you a gift, then there's an issue with that in
So
itself.
aren't you A, wealthy in the sense that you have a loving son in the first place,
Yeah,
and B,
exactly.
a loving son who gives enough of a fuck about you to go and buy you presents?
If my son said, "Can I have $5? I'll go buy you a present," I'd be like, "Of course you can." I don't care what it is. It's the thought that counts. Fantastic. So look, there you go. And then they try and tie it into a belief in God, which completely
Yeah.
loses me. It's always that stuff. It's always like, oh yeah, I had a really good burrito today, and it's the Lord, it's God sort of. He's given us these burrito-less gifts, and it's like maybe I don't know.
Ironically, I think that is hitting on a problem at the heart of Christian pop music in general.
Yep.
Which is that half of it is about going out into the streets and freaking out the squares, Homer Simpson style, with your outrageous love for the J-Man, let your light shine, show the world, etc. And the other half is about how you're a worthless sack of crap and you should be at home praying to God not to dump on your face
Yep.
because you don't deserve anything. That's why I kind of like this. By comparison, this is just a love song with no agenda. Like, it really is. If you didn't know that they were a Christian band, you wouldn't know
No,
this
you
was
wouldn't.
Christian.
You
really.
wouldn't, exactly. No, exactly. And that's what I respect about that. So, 4 million people are still cranking.
hell.
Sixpence None the Richer on
It's impressive.
Spotify.
They did keep going for a while. They broke up, I think, in the early aughts, but then I think they got back together again.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they were never as big as this. This was as big as they got. They had a couple of follow-up songs, but yeah.
They did a cover of There She Goes.
Oh
There
yeah,
She
that
Goes
was
Again.
a minor hit. Yeah.
42 cents for this. Tom, what are the lyrical highlights of this?
Well, as I said, it is pretty. It's pretty earnest and sort of cutesy, but yeah, it's. I think it's fairly unaffected. Again, maybe I'm biased. Kiss me down by the broken treehouse, swing me upon its hanging tire, bring your flowered hat, we'll take the trail marked on your father's map. Which is just about sort of dorky and unaffected, like your first love sort of thing, when you're just obsessed with each other, but you don't have any money or anything, and you all live in the same place where you grew up. Still, it's not like you're in some cool location.
Yep.
Yeah, but I think the best romantic gestures are earnest. That's what I reckon anyway. Mind you, women find me about as irresistible as a heavily discounted CD copy of Sixpence None the Richer, so maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree here. Perhaps the best romantic gestures are lavish and expensive and have nothing to do with tyre swings.
Yeah, look, Tom, we don't often disagree on this podcast, but look, is that the best sort of... do you really want your dad to hand draw a map and say, this is, go finger it down there under the, whatever?
I was assuming the dad was one of those boring types of dudes who has maps pinned up on the wall, like a big framed map of Tasmania and that sort of shit.
I'd just taken it the dad has like drawn up.
Yeah,
a bit of
that
a map
would be
and
creepy.
And then it's just like, there you go banger over.
Hey,
there.
look,
It's
I'm
just
not saying it's the best song in the world. I'm just saying, like, it's probably my favourite Dawson's Creek song. To damn something with faint praise.
It's my favourite song off the Dawson's Creek soundtrack. Yeah, look, that might be faint praise, Tom, but it is nevertheless true because it's better than the Sean Mullins one. So, which I thought was that fucking lullaby.
Rockabye, that's the
but
only Sean Mullins song I know.
It's a Sean Mullins song that isn't that, which I can only imagine is fucking woeful. So anyway, look, moving on from Sixpence None the Richer, 3 weeks of that. Up next is Jennifer Lopez, J-Lo, If You Had My Love, and for 3 weeks of power, fantastic. Now, this is J-Lo's debut single, straight to number one.
Yeah,
so, look, a lot of other top 10 hits. She's had just a fuck ton. Waiting for Tonight, Let's Get Loud, Love Don't Cost a Thing, I'm Real, all of those ones. But Jenny from the Block hit number one when she teamed up with... Sorry, what am I saying?
Oh, you're saying Jenny from the Block's one of her other hits, but she hit number one again.
Again, sorry, when she teamed up with Pitbull.
Yes.
So that's the story for that. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. But yeah, so there's a lot of other top 10 hits. But this is her first number one, and we will talk about her and Pitbull one day in the future. Exciting times ahead. Look forward to that.
I was a bit sad about this.
Yep.
Not in the immediate aftermath of this song, but in the year that followed, because I first saw her in Soderbergh's Out of Sight, which came out the year before, and in which she's amazing. Like, I think that was only like the second film or something she'd done, I think. Or very little. And she is so good in that. Have you seen that? That's so
I
great.
have, yes.
I low-key reckon that's a better Elmore Leonard adaptation than Jackie Brown. I think it just works better for all of Tarantino's fan base. There's so much underplayed chemistry with her and Clooney. And I just assumed that she was an up-and-coming actress who was going to, take the world by storm. And, instead, she clearly, obviously, after this, it sort of turned out, oh, no, she really wants to be a pop star more than acting. And when she did go back to acting, she was appearing in shit like Made in Manhattan and Geely with old bum Cheatin' McGee. But,
I was going to mention Made in Manhattan. Sort of like, but you're absolutely right. Sort of, I think, and you see this with a lot of performers where... So take someone like your Keanu Reeves. So... or even, River Phoenix, someone like that in the 90s, where it's sort of people that are sort of, or Johnny Depp even, where musicians, they're sort of dabbling in both worlds, then one of them takes off, and then fortunately, because the music was fucking woeful, they sort of put the music to a side, and it's only for nights at like the Viper Room where fucking, Keanu's playing with The Edge or some shit, and then everyone goes, this is dog shit, but we won't say it's terrible because we're at the Viper Room and everyone's going, we're on drugs. But J-Lo did the opposite, where she sort of went, well, I'm going to run both careers parallel. And as we learned with Will
or
Smith...
even leaning more into I mean, by comparison to those people you just mentioned, like, what I mean is, as soon as this came out, you could see even just from the promotion and the PR and the videos and stuff and the album covers, this is not just some tossed off thing that she's doing on the side.
Yes.
This has been thoroughly planned and thought through. Like, this is clearly the thrust of her sort of career.
Why would I do sort of indie-ish films, or not even indie, but like smaller films?
Yeah,
or when
why would I be
can-
a B-list actress when I could be an A-list pop star? sort of
Exactly.
thing?
And
Even
then-
though, to me, I would have thought, being a B-list actress, you'd probably make nearly as much money and it'd be a fuckload less work, surely.
Yeah, exactly right, for sure. But then she had the acting. She went in to do, as you said, Made in Manhattan and a lot of other things. So she still had that Hollywood cash.
Oh, yeah,
coming
totally.
in,
Don't
so
get me wrong. And maybe that was just an unusually lucky break with that film. Maybe that just perfectly suited her style.
Yeah, but also I guess with the pop career, if this song hadn't have been a hit and a few singles mightn't have been a hit, she
could
might
done
have just said,
Anaconda 2, Anaconda 3, Anaconda
Exactly.
4, Anaconda in
Exactly.
the New York sewage system,
Yep, all of
Anaconda
those.
5 in space, Anaconda 6.
Down Under. I think they'd get to do a Down Under one. Maybe a Mars one, sort of like Vin Diesel when he went to Mars in that Chronicles of Riddick bullshit. So yeah, look, the video for this is completely insane.
It's about as 1999 as it's possible to get, I think.
Look, at the video starts with a dude searching for Jennifer Lopez using like web crawler or some fucking pre-Google internet search engine on Netscape Navigator.
Yep, I
Where
think he's running one of those Macs from last year where the resolution's about 200 by 250.
Yeah, it's pixelated as fuck. The words, it's crazy. And he's taken to Jennifer Lopez online, which appears to just be a gateway to our OnlyFans account, like, or whatever the like. It seems it's one of the. It really looks like it's sort of you get to. It's not sort of you get to an artist website. It's like, here's my discography, and maybe a T-shirt you can buy. Here's my bio. Here's some history or whatever.
Yeah.
It's effectively just $9.99 a month to sort of pay and
in
watch.
those days, your OnlyFans account was just your website. That's
It looks like
and
you sort of-
everything else. It was also your Instagram and your Facebook and where you bought the tickets for your show and everything else.
So he gets onto jlo.com and she's just in her house with just cameras everywhere. And the dude is completely wanking in this.
Oh,
there's
100%.
There's a shot where it's just like, there is no way that dude isn't wanking in this.
He's not sitting in front of a computer in the office. He's sitting in the dark on the sofa with the keyboard over his lap.
Yeah.
He's 100% jacking in.
Exactly right.
Do you reckon, could this possibly be the first pop video that features fans watching the singer on their website?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
I think it's the first one I can think of off the top of my head. Anyway,
the thing is, no one would do this these days because it's just everyday life. But it seemed like in 1999, it was just there's this new thing called the internet.
Yeah.
If we can get that into a music video, look how cool and amazing it is. Whereas if I made a music video today of just watching someone on a computer screen that I was paying $9.99 per month or whatever, people would just be like, I don't know, dude, that's sort of pretty weird. So yeah, and it doesn't help that the dude's just sitting in the room. As you said, it's a darkened room wanking. It doesn't help that the lyrics are, "If you had my love, would you come for me?" I mean, that just sort of like tips it over the edge into, this is definitely a wank anthem. So look, and at the end of the video, the dude checks out J-Lo in the shower.
Yep. And so do several other dudes.
So it's just basically
we don't just see one dude. We see many dudes watching her in the dark on the computer.
There's two dudes
in the shower.
There's two dudes working in a fucking auto repair shop that just somehow have Wi-Fi. I don't even think it existed back then. But yeah, there's a dude, so sort of just sitting there repairing cars. They've got their laptop in the corner. I don't even think that technology existed at the time. Hanging out there watching J-Lo in the shower. And after that, a car just catches fire spontaneously, just sort of explodes as if watching J-Lo on a computer screen just leads to a car just burning.
And they ignore it because they're so transfixed by just a kind of neck up shot of J-Lo with wet hair.
And then for no apparent reason, someone throws an iMac into a pool.
Yep.
Product placement alert. There you go. So probably the one that Dawson bought.
The same one. It was just G3. The blue one.
Exactly. So that video completely batshit, but I love it's it's almost like that sort of last week where we talked about George Michael and being able to stream video on a fax machine. It was sort of that bold vision of the future that sort of didn't quite come off, but then weirdly 20 years on. That's just what the internet is effectively.
No.
Anyone can set up a camera. Anyone can watch anyone else that they so choose. It isn't J-Lo. It isn't pop stars. It is just someone in a room.
That's right.
Sort of in St. Petersburg or something,
It's
dressed
supposed
up as
to
a
be this
cat.
kind of artificial metaphor of what it would be like if a real person was trapped in the internet surrounded by cameras, but. The idea that in 20 years' time people would voluntarily fill up their house with cameras connected to the internet, even people who weren't running OnlyFans accounts and so forth would have seemed very strange. But, so yeah, like you say, it's kind of dorky but weirdly prescient in some ways.
Oh, exactly. How much would you pay for a J-Lo live house stream? I'm asking today, only $99. No, only just for this. What that dude was watching. If you could go to J-Lo's website, just watch her cooking breakfast, taking a dump, watching TV.
When I was 20, I probably would have paid $9.99 because
$9.99
I definitely had a crush on J-Lo back then.
Yep.
These days, I'm not on anyone's OnlyFans account, so I guess probably a zero.
Yeah, probably zero for me as well. I don't think I pay anything for there. But, look, it's all good. If you're listening to this song and thinking it sounds a little bit like a Destiny's Child song, it was written by the dude who wrote the song Say My Name.
Oh, okay.
So that's sort of, as you mentioned before, that some of the things sort of, that sounds a bit like that. And it's like, why does J-Lo sound like Destiny? It's the person behind the scenes.
As a first single, I reckon it owes a lot to Gloria Estefan as well, who was making kind of a comeback at this point. Like, she was big in the sort of 80s, but then she had a bit of a sort of late 90s comeback. But she's not on, I don't think she's number one in any of these, but she had a sort of dance comeback. And this, I reckon this does owe something to her as well, complete with a weird gear change into a sort of Latin jazz fusion breakdown thing. Like about, so it goes normal Destiny's Child for 2 minutes, then you've got about 45 seconds of this kind of weird samba fusion thing so she can dance around a bit, then it just goes back to Destiny's Child again.
Yeah, I thought I'd accidentally bumped my mouse and it'd gone to a different song.
And it looks different and her outfit changes as well. It just kind of goes,
Yeah, exactly. But this is, and sort of, as we mentioned with last week, there was Ricky Martin, and now there's this. It sort of brought in a whole sort of, Latino fever, I guess. Sort of, there was a lot of songs in this sort of style. So, absolutely. So, look, pretty good. She's a triple threat, Tom. Not only she had several big hits such as this, which is a banger, but she starred in films, as you mentioned, Anaconda, Made in Manhattan, and she can dance as well. So she's got so many strings to that bow, which is pretty good. Interestingly, the Dark Child remix of If You Had My Love, released along with a radio edit on this song, is an early use of auto-tune as a vocal effect.
Wow,
so
it really was the time.
it was that. So the software, as we mentioned before, used for correcting pitch, etc., etc. And it was particularly handy for singers like Lopez, who weren't classically trained or very experienced. So apparently J-Lo used a lot of auto-tune because she wasn't the strongest singer.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, when a young rapper named T-Pain heard the remix, so T-Pain's launch into the world of autotune wasn't, as many would think, from Cher's Believe. It was actually from this song. So T-Pain heard the remix. He went on a mission looking for the effect so that he could use it himself, and it took him over a year to figure out that it was auto-tuned. So apparently he was going on to sort of like torrent sites or whatever the fuck they had back then, just getting as much cracked software as he could, anything, and then he'd plug it, like he'd try and use it, but not that one, not that one, not that one. Kept on going and going and going until he found the auto-tune. And as you mentioned before, Tom, when we were talking about Believe, so secretive because singers didn't want the public to know about it, and neither did the producers or publicity teams. So T-Pain put the effect all over his first solo album, Rapper Turned Sanger, in 2005, and opened the floodgates. So double auto-tune in this thing, but I just thought, as we mentioned auto-tune earlier, just thought I'd want to point out that this song is almost direct. Well, the remix is almost directly responsible.
Rapper turned singer, eh?
Yeah,
I'm not sure if he qualifies on either count.
Rapper turned sanger. Yep. So look, Tom. I think it would be remiss of us to not mention this, but looks like as of earlier in 2021, J-Lo and Ben Affleck are dating again, which is some of the most exciting news I've heard for some time.
Hey, maybe it'll work out, second time's a charm. I'm sure the tabloids will totally leave them alone this time and let them have a normal relationship. Hey, maybe Kevin Smith can put them in Silent Bob and Jay Finally Fuck or whatever he's working on at the moment.
Yeah, what were they in? What was that one? They were in Jersey Girl. Jersey Girl 2.
And Oh, that wasn't Kevin Smith. It just felt like it was. Yeah, no, they were in Jersey Girl.
Well, hopefully they'll make a Jersey Girl 2. Hopefully she'll be in the Batman. Is he in that? No,
no, he's not Batman anymore. We're on to our 36th
Batman. That's a shame. I'd love to see him back. So, yeah, look, great. This is pretty good. I actually quite like this one. It's pretty enjoyable for me, personally.
Yeah, I think it's more fun than a lot of the stuff she did later on.
Yeah, there was some bullshit in there. I think I read a lot of them out at the top.
Like you say, it really just sounds like a Destiny's Child song. Yeah. So if you like Destiny's Child,
which
TLC,
I do,
then you
absolutely. Yeah, Destiny's Child. A lot of people don't know this. They're the math core of pop songs. Some of those time signatures are all over the fucking place. So okay. Massive respect for Destiny's Child. But yeah, look, you're right. This is better than sort of, especially Jenny from the Block.
Yeah,
that was bullshit.
She's getting into trying to be hip hop and stuff.
I'm real. Yeah,
I liked her Let's Get Loud.
That's fun.
Her Latin influence stuff more. I think
Waiting for Tonight, it works for me as well.
Party jams.
Exactly. So 19 million, fucking Christ on a bike. That's a lot of people. People love J-Lo. 23 cents for this. Lyrics, there must be some great shit in this.
Well, clearly it's J-Lo laying down the rules for a prospective partner.
Yep.
If you want my love, you can't lie to me, cheat on me, this better be serious. At one point she says, "You said that we could possibly spend eternity. See, that's what you told me, that's what you said. But if you want me, you have to be fulfilling all my dreams."
Yep.
Now, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I think that both of these people just have unrealistic expectations, Ben, frankly.
Yes.
I mean, if you think he might be full of shit because he says he wants to spend possibly eternity with you, I'd say you're probably right, frankly. But by the same token, if you're looking for a man who can fulfill all your dreams, then you've obviously set your fucking standards too high. Ben Affleck couldn't fulfill all of her dreams in real life, and he drove the fucking Batmobile.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if the writer was really thinking ahead on that one, but, hey.
Exactly.
It's like that Cher song. It's not particularly good lyrics, but it is at least kind of self-affirming, It's not, you're not pining. You're saying, look, I got standards, bitch. If you want to go out with me, lift your game.
Indeed. Look, but I think that's fair enough. So J-Lo,
it's that lasting influence of feminism that the Spice Girls influenced.
I think so, girl.
If they hadn't invented feminism 2 years ago, then
yeah, exactly right. I think you're absolutely correct. Girl power, feminism. If it wasn't invented, late 90s, then we wouldn't be where we are today. So someone had to pave the way, and then someone like J-Lo had to sort of build on that original pavement and sort of create the layers of feminism. So thank you, J-Lo. All right, next up is Pearl Jam with Last Kiss. Now, I don't even know what the fuck this is. It was written by Wayne Cochran, who I hope is Tom Cochran's dad, and Pearl Jam covered it for the No Boundaries compilation, which benefited refugees in Kosovo. Now, this is a cover, and it's their only number one hit, so effectively Pearl Jam are Alien Ant Farm. Is that correct?
Yeah, they never quite made it to number one.
They didn't.
No.
So they are. So
it's slightly more complicated than
is
that.
It?
But yeah, I mean,
no.
I'm not saying they're not the Alien Ant Farm.
They're the Alien Ant Farm of grunge. But yeah, anyway, go for it.
It was the original song was recorded in '61, then '63 and '64 by Wayne Cochran and a couple of other people. Teen tragedy songs were really big back then. This is a teen tragedy song, if you don't know. They were the screamo of the day, Ben. Stuff like Leader of the Pack, Tell Laura I Love Her, and Teen Angel, which is about a chick getting run over by a train trying to get her boyfriend's class ring back. So I hope that $5 aluminium ring was worth it. Reasons why these songs were popular have been mulled over in the time since. Some people have suggested that in the pre-Flower Power world, they represented sort of rebellion and escape from parental control through death. Or that there were a huge number of tragic accidents involving rock stars around that time. That was the Big Bopper's plane went down, but a whole bunch of other people as well. James Dean died as well. It's the era that American Pie was written about.
Yeah.
No, not American Pie. Yeah.
The
American
film.
Pie, yeah,
No,
not
song.
the film, not the film about fucking dessert.
Stifler.
The film about the day the music died. The song about the day the music died. Jesus Christ, Don
Henley.
McLean's American Pie. Other people have said that teenagers are all dickheads who think going face first through a windscreen will be romantic as long as the Smiths are playing when it happens.
Yep.
But yeah, Eddie Vedder found this on some vinyl single in an old record shop, and they did a cover for their fan club. It was unreleased, but some DJ got hold of it and started playing it. Eventually, the record company pushed them to release it, and they were so huge at the time in general that this went to number 2 in the US and Canada and number 1 here. So then they gave the profits to that Kosovo thing of their single.
That's
but
very good, yeah.
As you say, it is weird to think that this was their only number 1 in Australia, because they were like such a soundtrack for being a teenager in the 90s, whether you wanted them to be or not.
And
Like,
this is
they were
also 90.
inescapable.
This is also 99.
yes,
You've got to
so
remember
they've-
Pearl Jam. Like they've been
Yeah.
rocking. They're active for sort of 10 years now. So that
Yeah.
they were. I assume that.
They're tailing off, people thought by now,
Exactly. So look, you're right. A lot of history to this song in terms of the original version. The Big Four of grunge, Tom. We've talked about the Big Four of. Well, we didn't invent the Big Four of thrash. That's obviously people have been speaking about that. Megadeth, Slayer, Metallica, Anthrax. We invented the Big Four of Eurodance.
They copied that from you, yes.
Which I've actually forgotten who they are, but I think it was Two Unlimited, La Bouche, Culture Beat, and
The Real McCoy.
and the Real McCoy. Yeah, of course. So I think they're the Big Four. So the Big Four of grunge, and by grunge I mean the original
Yep.
Seattle grunge crew. The Big Four are, for me, I think it's pretty obvious: Nirvana, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, and Pearl Jam.
Yeah,
I think they're the
I
Big
couldn't-
Four.
I couldn't
They're the
argue
Big
with
Four.
that.
Now, this might be controversial, Tom. Were Pearl Jam the worst of the Big Four grunge bands? Are they the Anthrax of grunge? Or am I sort of stepping on some toes here?
Look, I'm not a good enough judge of music to be able to tell you, really. They're probably my least favourite. The one I listen to the least
Yes, correct.
now of them, although I listen to them a lot of the time. And and they were huge too. They were probably... At this time, they were definitely the most popular out of all of them. Like Alice in Chains had tailed off, Soundgarden were doing different things. Nirvana obviously had come to a screeching halt.
Yep.
And like even when Kurt Cobain killed himself, like Pearl Jam were at that time, they were much bigger than Nirvana. Nirvana resurged massively because that happened, obviously in the public consciousness anyway. But
look.
yeah, hey, look, I don't know, I can't tell you, man, but I know a lot of people don't like Pearl Jam.
Look, I think they're dog shit.
You'd be one of those people. Sure.
I think, and the reason for me is, and look, I think musically, the other. Here's the thing. I think when you look at the other bands that were big at the time, as we mentioned, those Big Four, and some of the other lesser sort of known
Yep.
bands as well in the Seattle scene, they certainly had what I consider bands that were influenced by Black Sabbath.
Yep.
So you get sort of a sort of grungier, heavier, darker sort of guitar sound, and just songs in general sort of combine sort of that punkish DIY attitude with a bit of that sort of stuff. And what I got, and I'm a big Black Sabbath fan, I always have been, and I sort of think that the bands, Alice in Chains and Soundgarden, particularly Nirvana, I think on Bleach as well, were inspired by those bands who in turn were probably sort of inspired, well, the Melvins, I think, if we take a step back, were sort of very inspired by that sort of, tune your guitars low, sort of play slow and heavy sort of vibe, and that went on to influence some of the other bands, like Nirvana, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains. Pearl Jam didn't have that, I don't think. I think they sort of had probably a different array of influences, some different stuff happening, which just wasn't my cup of tea. So I think that they weren't really a band that was sort of in my lane. But the reason I say that they're the worst four of the big grunge bands is because those Eddie Vedder vocals, they are, for me, unlistenable. I can't handle them. And it inspired not only a whole generation of shitty high school bands that when I was in high school at the time, I had to listen to dudes going, oh, fuck, I can't sing, but I can get out there and just go, but it has inspired a million dog shit bands that continue to this day where dudes that cannot sing just jump up there and just go, can you take me higher now? Like, and it's fucked, and I hate it, and I'm putting it squarely on the shoulders of Eddie Vedder. Look, hats off to the man. He's the last man standing in that big four. The other three dudes are all dead. Lane Staley,
True.
you know, obviously Kurt Cobain, Chris Cornell, they're all gone. So he's the last one standing. So good on him for that. But at the same time, you've ruined music forever.
Look, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to put my foot down here, just on the sense that, as we've already said, I think, or at least I said anyway, you can't blame a band for the people that they influence.
Yeah.
You can blame them for plagiarism, you can blame them for getting 15-year-olds pregnant, you can maybe blame them for getting people crushed to death at their concerts if they get on stage and yell, everybody run to the front and fuck each other up. But you can't blame Eddie Vedder for Nickelback, I don't think. And I also think, like, that... I mean, I know what you mean. His voice verges on... Sometimes it verges on him doing a voice instead of sort of singing. But...
I think it's all him doing a voice, isn't it? Or no one gets up and is going...
But I mean, it's... Yeah, what I mean is, I guess it's a style... Like, a question of where the line is between someone doing a style of singing and someone just doing a voice. You know, like, the difference between, like, when British and Australian singers sing in an American accent...
Oh, yeah.
Just to sound more poppy. But then some of them take that a step further and it's like they're doing an American singer's voice that they've heard, that they like they're just doing an imitation. Like, there's a line where... Yeah, I'm not sure. But I think... I had a friend of mine who was a singer at the time. He also really liked Chris Cornell as well.
Yeah, he's a better singer.
He said... Chris Cornell was an amazing singer, yeah, for sure. But he liked Eddie Vedder because he said... What a lot of people copied later on was the grungy singing, which was the sort of more distorted, that sort of Nickelback, that kind of growl, that sort of, if I sound like this, I sound more macho. He said he doesn't sound like that. On the first two albums, at least, his voice is all clean tone. Like, it's all clean notes. It's not sort of distortion. Like you say, they had a less raw sound than a lot of those other bands. They were a bit more, not poppy, but they were more sort of radio friendly, I guess you could say. But I mean, he just had an interesting voice, I think, and also chicks thought he was rad too. For whatever that's worth. Doubt. I mean, they thought Kurt Cobain was rad too. Don't get me wrong, but Kurt Cobain looked like a fashion model, frankly.
Yeah.
Whereas the rest of them were kind of fairly normal looking. Lane Staley wasn't going to be on any 14-year-old girls' teen beat posters, I don't think. Well, outside of the grunge era anyway. But,
possibly.
Hey,
possibly.
Look. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm saying, you know, I don't know, and I don't listen to them much. I haven't listened to 10 for years, but yeah.
Yeah, look, I just think that musically, they were probably, for me, and this is just my own personal taste, they were the least interesting musically, and then vocally, couldn't handle it at all. At the time, I couldn't handle it, and now I think it's even worse than I can even remember. A lot of
dickheads copied that style, don't get me wrong.
For sure. But you listen to, say for example, you put on Alice in Chains' Wood, you go listen to that song now, and it's as good as today as it was when it was released. Lane Staley's voice is great, it's a great song, very catchy, but sort of darkish as well. Very, very good song. I like that a lot. And yeah, all that sort of Soundgarden stuff from around that era, you know, whether it's sort of Bad Motorfinger, you know, or Super Unknown, both good albums. They're using a lot of weird time signatures, a lot of different tunings. Chris Cornell's a lot better singer. So all those things I found quite interesting at the time, and I still like them now. But yeah, probably, I don't know. But you're absolutely right, though. I shouldn't be shitting on Eddie Vedder for Creed, you know what I mean, or Nickelback.
No.
It's basically
but
like
I mean,
saying...
You're totally fine to not like his voice. I know a lot of people find it eminently mockable, like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, no, it's the worst. But yeah...
the fact that Nickelback, you can't blame him for Nickelback.
Because it's effectively blaming Rage Against the Machine for, you know, Fred Durst. You know, it's effectively doing like that dude, he's rapping and there's rock guitars, so therefore he created that. So yeah, absolutely. So look, 11 million, so a lot of people, you know, a lot more people, you know,
Like you say, I mean, they've moved into dad rock now territory, but they're still putting out albums and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, once you're around for 30 years, you sort of have to, I guess. That's what you got to do. So, look, a lot of people do enjoy them, 11 million. So, those people probably disagree with my hot take that his voice is terrible, but that's okay. $1. This is going to cost you a full $1.
Yeah, well, I mean, was it a single?
Yep. I think it was. It did eventually get released.
Single,
yeah. But you're right.
But it wasn't, like you say, this was out of range of their original.
Now, Tom, have you got some lyrical highlights? Is it about a car crash? There must be some lyrical.
It is, yes. As as 10 especially would indicate, Eddie Vedder is definitely a fan of sort of not morbid, but like dark sounding themes and stuff. My first impression of that album when I was a teenager was, I can't believe how depressing this album is.
Yeah,
I didn't really understand why people would like it, but anyway, I was trying to think what would have attracted to him to listening to this song back then, and I think maybe it's possibly because this is almost comically morbid. Like he gives it to you straight, but I suspect that he might have thought this was slightly funny as well. It gets straight into it. The first line is, we were out on a date in my daddy's car. We hadn't driven very far. There in the road, straight up ahead, a car was stalled. The engine was dead. I couldn't stop, so I swerved to the right. I'll never forget the sound that night. Screaming tyres, busting glass, the painful scream that I heard last. Verse number 2 is, he wakes up in the rain, covered in blood, holds his dying girlfriend's head in his hands, might be attached, might not, and they have one last kiss before she dies. Doesn't mention if he follows through. What do you think? Maybe you could write a B-side about, what happens immediately after
That's true, yeah.
But like, this was de rigueur for those teenage songs, They didn't write long songs back in those days. We're talking 2-minute pops. They've got 2-minute songs to talk about a horrible tragedy involving violent death.
Tongue kissing a severed head, Tom. Yeah, it's so. Yeah, people talk about how unsavoury music is these days, but I think back then it's sort of just as no one.
Well, it was slightly controversial. That Teen Angel song, they wouldn't play that on some radio stations because they said it was too sad.
Yep.
But I think what they really meant was
too shit.
Crazily morbid and sort of like not literally violent, but even then, like for a 1961 song, he talks about waking up covered in blood.
Yeah.
He talks about hearing this girlfriend scream as she goes through the windscreen and stuff. Fucking hell,
that's rough. Absolutely. So look, I don't know. I don't think I'll ever need to listen to that song ever again.
Oh, hell
the
no,
original or the Pearl Jam one. So
again, the other thing I would say with that one, that, as I mentioned before, you can't really blame them for this.
No,
I put this on I'll use the principle again, which is that you can't blame someone for having an annoying number one hit when you can tell for 100% certainty that they never expected it to be a number one hit.
Exactly.
They had no intention that this was going to be a big hit.
Well, as you mentioned, the band didn't even really want to release it.
No,
was just recorded
for
a compilation.
Club. It was like an online thing.
Exactly. The fan club. Yep, that's right. You sign up to the fan club and you get sent a record in the mail every year.
And then probably
like
the charity said, "Look, have you got any bits
lying
and bobs lying around?
No,
as long as it says Pearl Jam, that'll double the sales." I remember that. It came out in like a cardboard sleeve, like it was so like environmentally friendly and stuff that it was in like a like a corrugated cardboard sleeve.
Yep. Anyway. Now, just before we leave this, I think Pearl Jam is probably the best bet that we have for trying to speak very, very quickly about the Seattle scene. Tom,
oh, sure.
The grunge.
Yep.
Now, the quintessential grunge song, or the one that I guess that sort of brought it to the mainstream, would have been when Nirvana released Smells Like Teen Spirit, correct?
Yes.
There's sort of a line in the sand where that song came out, then everyone knew what this new Seattle sound was. It was like, I think even Southern Cross Nightly News was like, what is this grunge? And then you could buy
Sub Pop label. So Sub Pop, you would see people wearing Sub Pop t-shirts, and any record on Sub Pop was just went through the roof.
So it went completely ballistic for a few years there in the early 90s. With Smells Like Teen Spirit, are they some of the worst lyrics that have ever been written that people just sort of give a pass to because it's sort of, what's the chorus? A mosquito, an albino,
Look, I spent dozens of drunk at parties singing along to Milk It. I still have no idea what the lyrics of Milk It are. Like, what the fuck is he saying in the chorus of Milk It?
the thing is, Tom, that I think that because at the time I was quite young and didn't really think about it, I just sort of, I was like, they sort of got a pass. Like Nirvana seemed to get a pass because they were the biggest band in the world.
Well,
everyone, I think, when you were a certain age, everybody seemed to like Nirvana. And then you just sort of went, yeah, great. And then you sort of look back in hindsight and just like going, yeah, maybe those lyrics were a bit shit.
I think part of there were a bunch of things in the Seattle stuff in the grunge thing that were a reaction to things that had come before them. There were a whole bunch of weird shit that seems normal now, but at the time, like if you compared it to like the popular music of the time and the glam metal that had come before them, things that you don't even think of now, like having single word song titles.
Yep.
Like on 10, like every song is just one word. Alice in Chains, like their songs would just be one word titles, and the word wouldn't be in the chorus of the song. So you would walk around going, "What's that fucking song?" And then you would find out it was called Spack or something. Like that's not even, you didn't even say that in the song. Why is it called Spack? And, shit like that. And another one was having obtuse lyrics that were sort of, like purposefully kind of tangential, a little bit abstract lyrics. Like Pearl Jam's lyrics made more sense than most, but even then they would write crazy shit like Yellow, Leadbetter and stuff. And Kurt Cobain openly said, I usually just make up the lyrics to fit the music. Like at the time, so it's more about the lyrics are kind of like punctuation for what's happening in the song.
Absolutely. Look, the lyrics to "Smells Like Teen Spirit" I think are objectively terrible, but I do like his body of work in general because it just makes
a mosquito, my libido,
an albino, my mosquito, a libido, and then how low. It's good stuff. Look. Love it. He's a genius. Yeah, it's good, but I do like them because they were just sort of a bit, wacky, I guess. So I probably can't really talk. I can't really criticise other lyrics now that I've sort of admitted that that's fine. So, absolutely. But look, interestingly, Tom, in 1991, Seattle as a place, people were like, where the fuck is that? No one really knew about it. And now I think when people think about that, they probably think grunge, Starbucks, Microsoft. Probably those things. Maybe in that order. Bill Gates, I think, lives there. So
Starbucks, of course.
And Starbucks, all from Seattle. But the thing is that what it demonstrated was at the time was that you didn't have to be from Los Angeles or New York. Traditionally, it was basically that, wasn't it? It's like, you're from LA, you're from the LA Strip, this is where rock comes from, or you're from New York, you're doing your own thing there. Seattle proved that you could have a whole scene that became internationally famous just off the back of a handful of bands in sort of a very local scene with a record label that promoted them. Where is the next Seattle going to come from, Tom?
We used to have this discussion sometimes, you know, like, I think the problem is that what made Seattle so cool, what you're talking about, is that you have an isolated melting pot.
Yes. So
things can percolate and intermingle, and you get this incestuous thing where all the musicians exchange stuff with each other, bands, and people do weird stuff. Like Seattle, uniquely at the time, seemingly started doing homemade vinyl. That became a cool thing to do because it was this way you could cheaply mass produce stuff, because CDs back then were more expensive like burning a whole bunch of CDs to give out would be too much, and cassettes sound like shit. So they went, we'll get some old fucking vinyl machines, and then there were they would do small print run vinyls, which gave everything this coolness factor. So, but I think now with the internet, nowhere would be you couldn't get that melting pot effect because things would be too out in the world, to develop under a rock that way.
There's nowhere away from the big scenes. So we're not. So you're in LA and all the bands are like, Motley Crue's popular, let's try and sound like that. Whereas sort of you're off in a corner somewhere where you don't hear that stuff. But you're right. With the internet, you can listen to anything that's ever existed at any time immediately.
And you can be influenced by other stuff. And you're
exactly.
right.
So what you're saying, Tom, if I understand, is that the next Seattle will be Bernie. Is that correct? On the jewel of the northwest coast of Tasmania.
Northwest of Tasmania, I reckon.
Absolutely. So look, Intense Hammer Age have set the sort of stage back then, so there's going to be a new generation coming out. So there's going to be a grunge explosion coming out of Bernie, 2023 to 2024, I predict. It won't be exactly like grunge. It'll be a new thing. It'll be something. It'll take some of the seeds of grunge, put them through an intense hammer edge filter, and then we'll get something else coming out the back there. So that's pretty good. So there we go. That's Pearl Jam. Anything else to mention, Tom?
I was just going to say, if for some reason you haven't heard enough about fucking grunge from all us increasingly aged Generation X's, there's a really good doco called Hype, which is about the grunge scene at the time.
Yeah.
Oh, I was reminded of it because the tagline was "Your town could be next," and it's as much about the bands as it is about what it's like to live in a town, an isolated town, which suddenly becomes the cultural apex of the world for 6 months.
Yep.
To the extent, there's one scene where there's this lady who works for this small record company, and she said, I was getting daily phone calls from news services around the world asking me about the Seattle Sound and what it was and who it meant and all this stuff. She's not like a journalist or anything like that. She's just like a receptionist. She said, I ran out of stuff to say after like weeks. I just started making shit up. I just started telling them about buzzwords that I'd heard, stuff and fashion, because I legitimately couldn't think of anything else to tell them at all. And also, last year, there's a really cool doco called Pretend We're Dead, which is about L7.
Oh, cool.
And that is about the kind of less publicised thing of being a rock band that neither gets rich and famous, often Sunset, Pearl Jam style, or explosively ends Nirvana style, which is about being popular for a decade, less popular for another decade, and then gradually just basically just going off back to a normal life after that, which is a not that often covered aspect of being
that's
a
cool.
band.
Did they employ the Spice Girls girl power mantra for L7? Is that what sort of kept them ticking along for a while? So they looked at Spice Girls and went, girl power is going to get us through.
Hey,
so
they were Riot Girl. They were
Riot Girl, you're right.
Girl power were ripping off. I loved
Absolutely.
L7 at the time. I thought they were
great.
rad.
Very good. What about Singles? Has anyone ever seen? That's one of those films that.
Yeah, that was a proto. It's got a grunge soundtrack, but there's nothing grunge about the shitty romantic comedy.
Yeah.
I stretch it. The word comedy is doing a fuckload of heavy lifting there.
One of those films that a lot of people own the soundtrack but hadn't actually seen the film because
Yes.
it was terrible, and also it wasn't quite Hollywood's attempt to, hackers style create a subculture out of the film. But yeah.
Who is it? Oh fuck, that's going to drive me. I just watched a podcast on it. It's an early film by, what's his name?
Who's in it? Like Matt Dillon?
It's Cameron Crowe,
Cameron
the guy
Crowe,
who went
yeah.
off to do Almost
Russell
Famous,
Crowe's dad. Yeah,
We Bought a
absolutely.
Zoo,
So.
etc. Other great film.
Good. All right, we've touched on grunge. We've done that. We're 99. We're at the end of the decade, so we had to try and touch on that for a bit.
I know
Apologies
you weren't a
for
big
people that
fan
are
of
born.
that, but let's move on to something that you are a big
Well,
fan
I'm a
of.
massive fan of this next one, Tom. It is Lou Bega, Mambo number 5.
Bracket, a little bit of
dot,
bracket.
dot. Now, Tom, is Germany the spiritual home of the Mambo?
Oh, people have said that, Ben.
Look, I think it is. Lou Bega's from Munich, and I feel like if I ever get the chance, Tom, to go on an international trip where I want to explore the music that I love, grunge, obviously, I'll be flying straight to Seattle, getting a big fucking foaming cup of liter Starbucks, one of those things, knocking back that latte and going, actually, I'll get like some sort of frappuccino or some bullshit, drink that down, go, where did Nirvana used to play? And they'll be like, it's all been bulldozed because they've built apartments. I'll be like, oh, fuck that. Stop 2 on the plane, straight to Germany because I want to learn about the Mambo, I think. And that's where I'd go. I wouldn't go to Cuba. I would skip Cuba. I'd fucking hate those communists. I would go straight to Munich and say, show me where Lou Bega put together not only Mambo number 5, a little bit of, but then the album, which I think was called A Little Bit of Mambo or something like that. So, absolutely. So, look, this is a great track because I respect this guy. What he's done is he's taken an old instrumental track from 1949. He's just found that probably, on whatever. What did they have in 99 before Spotify? He's probably just downloaded it off, fucking Napster or some shit. Yahoo Music or something like that.
LimeWire. He's got it off LimeWire.
He's got it off LimeWire. And then he's taken that instrumental song that's existed and then he's just set a heap of names over the top. Oh, a little bit of Samantha, a little bit of Monica, a little bit of Tina, a little bit of Chanel, a little bit of Jane. mean? And he's just done that over and over again, and people have just lost their fucking minds over that.
They have.
And it's gone to number one for a million years. 8 weeks here, Tom. But spare a thought for our French listeners. Hi, everyone there that's listening in Paris or wherever the other places in France are. I can't do some. Can't list them all. Can't list them all. But to our French friends, apologies. These guys, this was number one for 20 fucking weeks.
Oh my god!
It's like almost half a year.
You poor bastard.
Jesus Christ!
Unless you didn't like the Mambo,
Yeah.
or even if you did, frankly.
Yeah.
I was going to look up the Lou Bega story, but I thought I'd look up who actually did the real song.
What can you tell me about the OG, Tom?
Perez Prado wrote the original. He was a Cuban band leader, composer, musician, and he popularised the mambo worldwide in the 50s as a musical form with international hits like Mambo No. 5, Mambo No. 8, and Cherry Pink.
Yep.
Don't know what happened to 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, or 7. I'm assuming they got lost along the way, but he was huge in the 50s and 60s. He really only came to an end when other musical genres sort of supplanted him. But yeah, and he was enormously popular. He lived in Cuba for a while and Mexico and America for a bit too. So
Wait. He wasn't from Munich.
He was not from Munich.
He's never been to Munich before.
I'm afraid to say he wasn't from Munich. He did have a moustache, if that means anything. But yeah, the voice you can hear in this going like, rah! That's him. He would do that in his songs. Like sometimes he's yelling like it's like Cuban for like get it or take it or something like that. He's sort of so he was very energetic at the time in the
So the
1955 he's rocking out.
The only good part of the song, the rah, is not even Lou Bega.
No, that's him. And the actual music as well. The catchy part of the music.
Yeah, for sure. So, and that's what's great about this. It isn't really sampled as just sort of wholesale. I'm just going to say shit over a different.
It does also contain another sample, which is from "Insane in the Brain" by Cypress Hill. Bizarrely enough, it's just a little sort of noise that's in it. It repeats through it. It's very subtle. It's one of those ones, but yeah, it's in there. And there's one other little bit in it, like a little whistle or something.
So
like
Be
that.
Real from Cypress Hill gets like a writing credit on this, does he, or something?
I'm kind of amazed because I would have thought everything in a Cypress Hill song would have been sampled from something else, except for the bit where he's talking about smoking the bomb in a car park.
Yep.
Anyway,
exactly right. Yeah, for sure. I think so.
So what did the fuck did Lou Bega Cheese Singles do after this?
Oh, look. So the follow up, Tom, to this was a song called "I've Got a Girl." Which sounds it's exactly the same as this fucking song, except instead of doing female names, he's just doing place names. So instead of a little bit of Monique, a little bit of Tina, a little bit of Chanel, whatever the fuck, it's like I got a girl in Paris, a girl in Rome, a girl in Prague, a girl in
Millennium Dome.
Yeah, exactly. So just lists place names. And look, no mention of if he's got a girl in the jewel of the northwest coast of Tasmania, Burnie, as we mentioned previously, where the next grunge scene will be, but one assumes that he does. Now, listen to this, Tom. I remember watching Hey Hey It's Saturday in 1999.
I'm sorry about that. If you go to a psychiatrist, they've got drugs that can help with that.
But interestingly, Daryl Summers, who usually was just the sort of very... hey, here's this song, isn't it great? Clapping along sort of dude. He even said when they played I've Got a Girl, even Daryl Summers, who's the usual won't say a bad thing about anyone, just went, oh, they should have just called it Mambo No. 6. It sounds exactly the same. So
it does sound exactly the same.
It does. It is
when
exactly
you heard those lyrics,
same.
I found myself thinking, I thought they were in Mambo No. 5.
No, exactly.
I think I actually thought that was the same song.
So if Daryl Summers is giving it shit, it must be fucking garb.
That's right.
Hot garbage for sure. Yeah. But listen, Tom, as we know, the cover's always better than the original, and he does cover Karma Chameleon from Boy George that we've spoken about earlier on this podcast. So he does a Karma Chameleon cover on his Little Bit of 80s album. So he does a little bit of mambo, a little bit of 80s through that. And look, I actually didn't listen to it. I didn't bother listening to it, but one can assume that it, as we've said, the cover's always better than the original. There always is an exception, but I gather that the exception makes the rule, and in this case, there's no way that Lou Bega doing a mamboed up version of Karma Chameleon could be better than the original. So But yeah, look, Tom, back to his, as you mentioned, you talked about what he did post Mambo Number 5, Mambo Number 5. He formed a hip-hop group when he was 13, released an album when he was 15, and he went by the name back then of Mo DK.
Okay.
Mo DK. Don't know if that means something, I'm not sure. But he's featured on a single by a German band called ART,
Wow.
called I Need You, and Lou Bega rapping is every bit as harrowing as it sounds. So imagine a 15-year-old Lou Bega just doing some bullshit rap work, and that's what you're going to get with that. Now, this is almost...
I'm possibly thinking that maybe Lou Bega got a rap career in Germany the same way that the actors with the gold masks in the Squid Game got roles in a HBO series, being in a foreign country where there aren't a lot of other people around who can do the thing that...
Can you be a white person that can't act well? Yes, I can.
Can you be a black guy in our song, please?
Yeah, exactly. So look,
Sorry,
obviously... So... We've got 99, we've got Lou Bega doing Mambo Number 5, we've got the follow-up single, which sucked, which as we talked about. But then he has a bit of a break, Tom. He's still releasing music that no one gives a flying shit about. And then in 2019, well, what he did was he released a song called Scatman and Hatman. Now, this is completely fucking bizarre.
Yeah,
but look, this is I'm using air quotes here, Tom. It's a new Lou Bega song where the chorus is just Scatman John doing the Scatman, beat up butter bow. He's just got that. He's just taken that part and then he's written a new song around that and then he's just inserted that as the chorus. Now, listen, obviously we know Scatman and Hatman is the name of the song. Scatman is obviously Scatman John.
Yep.
But the Hatman, has anyone at any time, anywhere, ever called Lou Bega the Hatman?
The Hat
I
Man,
fucking doubt it.
The Twat Man.
Twat Man, certainly. So he's taking on this moniker. He's declared himself the Hat Man. And look, he's inspired to create the track because this is also completely bizarre. But look, what happened was that he said Scatman John died the same year that Mambo Number 5 was released. He never even met him, but they're both from Germany. He said, we found out how much Scatman John and I had in common. He died of a brain tumour in 1999. My own father died of a brain tumour in 1999 as well, just 4 weeks before Mambo Number 5 came out. And then, of course, we both wore suits and we had moustaches. So Lou Bega just went off the back of some guy I've never met before who died the same year as my dad died, who had a moustache. It's free range to go on and do this. So listen, Tom, I'm going to tell you what's happened, okay? This is what's going on. Lou Bega's career at present in the year 2021, probably a little bit before that, I remember seeing something called So Pop or So Fresh, one of those, package tour concerts where they get 10 one-hit wonders, they fly them around the world and go,
2
hey,
songs each.
Exactly right. 2 songs each. You go to this thing. So you might show up, Lou Bega's going to perform, you're going to get Bewitched, you're going to get that sort of bullshit. Snow might pop up. You might get some D-tier Euro beats like Ice MC, something like that, S Club 7. So they package these guys up and they'll do like an 80s one, they'll do a 90s one or whatever. So Lou Bega's career at present is just playing 6-minute sets at the best of the 90s events. And by that I mean they get him up, he probably just does Mambo Number 5, and then they say, see you later, Lou Bega. Now, I don't really know how these things work in terms of remuneration. I don't really understand, the logistics behind how they get everyone out here, how they pay them. But I gather that the participants in these sort of things are paid on the basis of how long they perform. So if you've got 3 hits, you play your 3 hits, you get a certain paycheck. If you've got 2 hits, you get a bit less. 1 hit, you get a little bit less money. Now, Lou Bega only has 1 hit, so I gather they let him play for 6 minutes and he gets 6 minutes worth of remuneration. Lou Bega, obviously, he's given up on writing any new songs of quality because no one gives a flying fuck about them. But what he's thought is, what if I can try and crowbar another hit
Yep.
into my 6-minute set. So I can pad that out to 10 minutes. I can play 2 hits. I'll get double the money, and therefore I can do this for the next 10 years. That'll cover the mortgage. I'm good to go. I need a second hit. So what he's done is he's taken the legacy of Scatman John, produced that other hit, and then here we are today where he goes out and performs Mambo No. 5, and then here's another, remember B Butter Butter Butter, Scatman and the Hatman. He's going to do that. Everyone's like, whoa, I didn't know this was Lou Bega. So it's fucking not.
No.
But he's stolen that thing. So the question is, what would Scatman John think? Do you think he would want Lou Bega to be do you think that he, if he had a choice, would say, I want Lou Bega to do this? Or do you think he'd be like choosing, another German music icon? I'm thinking, like your Captain Jacks, your Culture Beat, your La Bouche, someone like that, because he didn't get a say in this because he was dead. And I think what we need to talk about, Tom, is that our politicians were debating things, like religious freedom and pandemic laws. But what about legislation that provides better protection for one-hit wonder artists to pass on their songs to other people once that they're dead? Because I know that if I was a one-hit wonder, when I die, I want, some money to keep on coming in to go to my kids so that they can live a better life. So I think that we need to look at getting a way that you can pass on your one hits to whoever you choose. Maybe in your will, you write down, Scatman John can just go, number 1, I want this to go to Snow. If Snow rejects it, Ice MC. If Ice MC rejects it, La Bouche, etc., etc. Then when Lou Bega dies, you've got his will, you've got obviously the executive phoning up and going, hey, Ice MC, Lou Bega wants to leave you, Mambo No. 5. Great.
Yeah.
And he takes it on. In this case, it would be, I want to leave you, Scatman John. Everyone goes, fantastic. I think that would be a better way to do it because in many ways, I think Scatman's, I love that song. I'm the Scatman, beat up, butter, butter, butter. But when Lou Bega does it, it loses its value.
Oh, my God.
What do you think?
Well, I think you might be right in the sense of passing things on because perhaps Scatman John didn't leave any Scatman family behind him, any little Scatmen running around. Because, Jesus fucking Christ, if I was the estate of the deceased Scatman John, I'd be calling AB Logic right now and asking if they still had the phone number of the hitman. Because, fucking hell, this is just taking a dump on his grave. It's not even the good grace of like a remix.
No.
It's just that song makes this sound like Mozart. And this makes fucking Mambo No. 5 sound like Mozart. It's just atrocious. It's fucking, apart from anything else, like you say, it's just long past auto-tune being either popularly used or, I mean, it's still used, but you know what I mean, ironically, non-ironically used. It's the whole thing is auto-tune. Like, he doesn't even half sing like he does in Mambo No. 5. He just kind of mumbles through auto-tune, nonsense lyrics over a beat that he got from someone else, and then the chorus, the one good thing about it is just lifted straight out of Scatman John.
Oh, exactly.
And his image too. They've used his image of him singing it as well.
Exactly.
So in between that, you've got this twat wearing a suit and a hat, dancing around with some, stock photo ladies that they got from a website. Oh, man.
Yeah, look,
boy.
Lou Bega has taken a shit on the legacy of Scatman John, and I will not stand for it. So I'm boycotting Lou Bega forever. Unless Lou will answer my calls, because I do have an idea for a new reality TV show. Mm-hmm. It's called Bega's Boys. And what happens is, Lou Bega, he buys a house, a dilapidated house. Mm-hmm. He is from Munich, but maybe we can move this to Berlin. Go into the old East Berlin. He gets a rundown house from the communist era. He gets 20, 30 guys to move into the house. Mm-hmm. They renovate the house, sort of a little bit of block style. Mm-hmm. They cook meals for each other. And then they also perform. Each week, Lou comes in. He votes out who he thinks is the shittest person in there. That goes on for 4, 5, 6 months, however long it goes. At the end of that, Lou's got a fully renovated house he can flip. Vanilla Ice has proven that flipping houses can be quite profitable. He does that. And then the 5 guys left in the house form a boy band that then Lou Bega mentors.
Sure.
So I think that could work.
Depth of musical experience
Exactly
that he got
right.
from crapping on over other people's songs.
Absolutely. And I'd like to see that. I think that Lou Bega would be a great mentor for a boy band. Plus, we get to sort of combine the elements of all my favourite reality TV shows. I think probably we could get, out of the 30 guys, maybe some of them could be morbidly obese and they could try and lose some weight over the show as well.
Sure.
They lose some weight. They cook for each other. We can vote on the best cooking, vote on the best rooms in the renovation, best song and dance. We do that. And I think that's probably the reality TV show that we deserve right now. A combination of all of them
All the bases
with Lou
covered.
Bega. So, yeah. You on board?
Yeah, no,
Sure.
I don't think it can lose.
I
I
don't
mean,
think- yeah.
he's so hot right now. People just cannot shut up
Oh, exactly.
about Lou Bega.
Well, after Scatman and the Hat Man, it's all people are talking about. It's all Lou Bega. So, look, if he answers my calls, I may consider getting him back into my good books. Otherwise, I don't want anything to do with him.
Sure. I like to think that he lives in a separate house next to the main house with just 4 random girls from his music videos.
He does. 4 of them from one of them's from Paris, one of them's from Rome, one
Yep.
of them's from fucking somewhere
They've all
else.
very obviously been paid to be there, but he's pretending they're his girlfriends. So.
Exactly. 3.5 million on Spotify. That's fucking alarming.
Oh my
that's,
God.
That's,
What the
that is.
fuck?
In fact, that's disturbing. I don't really know what's going on with that. That's crazy. 2 cents for this, which is about what I expected. Does this have any lyrical highlights? It can't, can it? Does it?
Certainly can't. I mean, it doesn't have many lyrics, really.
No, it's just
Like,
listing people's names.
This opens with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everybody in the car, so come on, let's ride to the liquor store around the corner. The boys say they want some gin and juice, but I really don't want a beer bust like I had last week. Then he reels off 9 different women who he's boning. So, ladies, if you're looking for a man who hangs out with a bunch of alcos, lost his licence for a DUI yesterday and definitely has gonorrhea, then lose your boy. Oh, I just got a pedophile moustache too. Sorry, did I mention the pedophile
Yeah,
moustache?
he does. Yeah, it's pretty weird. Yeah, absolutely. What's the? I'm going to beer bust. What? I don't want a beer bust.
I think he means I don't want to drive.
Beer gut or?
I don't want to drive in the car and get busted drink driving. That's what I assumed it meant.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I mean,
Who the fuck knows? Yeah.
that might be, hey.
Look, it was basically just like, let's list some chicks' names and the rest of it we'll just fill in the gaps of that.
Sure,
So, yeah.
maybe he means beer bust in the sense of, I don't know, he was going to go out and pick up 17 different women and
Yeah,
said they're
absolutely.
going to
Look,
get drunk.
that's one of the worst of the decades, I'm going to say, Tom, for me personally.
It's
I don't want to hear
appalling.
that ever again. It's absolutely atrocious.
I mean, it's not as bad as Scatman and the Hatman, though. Holy
No,
fuck.
that's...
That's one of the worst songs I've heard since we started doing this.
yeah, it's absolutely
appalling.
awful. So
It
yeah,
has no redeeming qualities except the Scatman Johnby, which is wholesale lifted from someone else.
R.I.P. Look, what happens, Tom, when someone dies and then you cover their song without their permission? That's some sort of, it's,
God.
you know what I mean? Like
You go
it's,
to hell, I guess.
yeah,
But I don't,
yeah. It's like it's
yeah.
because you're stealing something, but then someone doesn't have the ability to sort of say,
Yeah.
hey, someone's stolen my thing. I guess his estate could probably deal with that. I guess I don't really know, but look, tough times for that one. So look, all I can say is that if you want to go and listen to Scatman and the Hatman, please do so with forewarning that it is one of the worst songs of all time, as Tom has mentioned. However, I don't think it's much worse than this one, Mambo Number 5, or I Have a Girl in Paris, Rome, etc., etc. So that's that. Up next, final of the week, which is good. That was number 1. Did we mention that was number 1 for 8 weeks?
God,
That's fucking insane. Yeah. Anyway, so look, up next for 9 weeks. So holy shit, this is it, Tom. This is the last song of the year, and by because we're 1999, this is the last song of the decade. This is it.
Yep. 9 weeks. Fucking hell. This
So-
must be a big song.
Yep, couple of songs.
It must have had a lasting impact and, meant a lot to a lot of people to be in the charts that long.
Well, exactly right, Tom. So look, this is what I'm thinking. So look, it's the end of the millennium. DJs around the world, everyone is G'ing up for, it's New Year's Eve. People are getting ready for the New Year. So they're playing, obviously, Prince, 1999, no doubt. That's
Sure.
getting spun by a lot of
Oh my
DJs
God.
around the world. It goes without saying. But apart from that, I think people bringing in New Year around the globe, the DJs are going to be thinking, what's the number 1 song now? What's the biggest song around at the moment? What do people want to hear as the New Year comes in? as you're kissing someone, going, it's a new millennium, you know, blah, 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 fantastic, all those things. It's the year 2000. It's a whole brand new world. Am I going to wake up in the morning dead? Is Y2K going to somehow kill me?
It was a very real
Am I going to go to the ATM to get $50 out to buy another couple of Maduri illusions, and I'm just, it's going to shoot my card back at me, I'm going to get decapitated, what's going to go on? No one really knows. But what was happening was they had those same uncertainties, those same doubts, those same, I guess hope for the future, but also the uncertainty of life and the uncertainty of the year 2000. And everyone was listening to that probably to the number one song at the time, which was, of course, Eiffel 65 Blue.
Jesus Christ. I had somehow managed to erase that was the big song of December 1999. I mean,
9 weeks,
well,
Tom.
and November as well. Fucking hell.
Absolutely. So, look, people love the shit out of this. It's fantastic.
Did they love the shit out of it? I mean, I guess they bought it, like, fucking hell.
Look, I couldn't think of a better song to round out the decade than this, to be honest. So, for one, it makes absolutely no fucking sense
True.
whatsoever. Two, it's Eurodance. So,
it's post. I mean, it's the B-list post Eurodance.
Yeah, look, it's not La Bouche Eurodance,
No,
but
it's Club
it's
7
from Europe.
Steps Eurodance.
And it's definitely dead sort of like a poor man's Eurodance. And three, it rides the pitch correction technology to its logical conclusion.
Yeah.
Or so I thought until about 3 months later, everyone just fucking went apeshit on it. But yeah, so it's got all the things that made the decade great. Eurodance, no sense, and pitch correction technology.
I can see the logic. Eiffel 65, in case you're wondering, are three guys, not 65 guys.
No.
They're not from France. They all have flavour savers. They met in Turin the year before in Italy. And then this was a worldwide hit. And they snuck in just before digital downloading so that they somehow managed to sell 20 million albums off this fucking Cobblers. Although I'm quite prepared to believe that was one of those rug warehouse-style shipping errors you read about, where someone accidentally orders a container boat full of dog shit post-Eurodance CDs, the boat hits a reef, and then some bunch of poor Aleutian Islanders have copies of Eiffel 65's first album washing up on their beach for the next 37 years. But yeah, they didn't really have any other hits, although they charted in a few different places with various things. They did a song for UEFA and the Winter Olympics and stuff, and I'm guessing people in Italy bought them, but yeah, I mean, I don't think in my entire life I've ever heard anyone say, I'm an Eiffel 65 fan, or a Lou Bega fan for that matter, but,
Probably not. Look, the follow-up
20 million albums off this.
There was a follow-up single, Too Much of Heaven. Which was
there was, and another one as well called...
Too Much of Heaven can keep you underground.
Move Your Body.
Oh, Move Your Body, and both of them had extreme sums of fortune.
Imagine naming a song Move Your Body. That'll do.
Absolutely. Look, there's a character in this song, Tom, and the character in the song lives in a world where everything's blue.
Sure.
His house, his car, his girlfriend... It's all blue. What a world that is now.
It's pictured in the video too. He appears in the video, interacts with the band in the video.
Yep. Now, what is completely bizarre is that the character in the blue video clip called Zorty, or Zortle. Zorottle?
It's kind of hard to say.
Zorottle,
I reckon it's Zorottle.
So it's sort of like a CGI blue robot
alien
kind of guy.
Yeah, he's like a little space alien.
So this is coming from Eiffel 65 quote. I started thinking about this character and I invented Zorottle and his lifestyle he led, the way he'd buy his house, pick his girlfriend, his job, the neighbourhood he would live in. Then I came up with a colour I thought described the way he saw things. Now, that's fucking stupid. But what's even worse is that Zorottle released a solo single.
Oh my God.
They let him go solo, titled I Wanna Be, And he had his own website that I'll say has not been updated since the year 2000. I checked it out. It looks like it was literally uploaded. I don't know.
It's got a touch of angel fire about it, doesn't it?
It does have a touch of angel fire about it, and I don't know who keeps paying the fees to keep it up, because it's at this point it's 21 years on at this stage, and yet it's still up.
It's like that Space Jam website.
It's
It's
like
still there,
exactly.
the original Space
No
Jam
one's
website.
updated it for 20 years, but yet it still exists. So
Wow.
unless someone just said, "Oh, let's pay for the next 100 years up front," there we go. So, look, what I can say is that the website does have a bio.
Oh, for
Zerottel,
Zerottel, sure.
yep, and how
What's
he came
the
to-
Zerottel story?
Well, it tells you about how he came to meet Eiffel 65, Tom.
Sure.
Zerottel sent a gamma ray visual transmission so that the three humans could see it.
Sure.
The message was written in human language and was as follows. Please come back. The three humans called Eiffel 65 saw the transmission from their starship. They accepted to listen to the Zerottel message. Hello, human friends. My name's Zerotelo Kyo Sukik 4, but you can call me Zerottel. I'm very sorry for what happened to you, but please let me explain the real story. After having explained the story to Eiffel 65, Zerottel said, we are general peaceful people, and we're in love with science art that you call music.
Sure.
With your help, would like to learn it and to show you my good intentions, if you allow me. I will go on stage to sing your blue song together with you as a sign of friendship. So that same night, Zerottel went on stage with Eiffel 65.
Sure.
In that very moment, he understood that yes, music was the form of communication he was looking for, and that he had to travel the galaxy and universe to meet as many different forms of music he could and extract the key to the universal language. Now, what the fuck is that about? And what inspired somebody to write that
Well,
and then put it onto the website?
A number of things occur to you immediately, but one of the first ones that occurs to me is that you've gone to the effort of making up this pile of bullshit,
Yeah.
and at no point has it occurred to you to go, hang on, if we just met him, he wants to go on stage and sing a song which is about him, that we
Yep.
wrote about him, having met him.
Yep.
So it's just a coincidence that we wrote a song about a blue alien
Correct.
that looks exactly like you and is the same colour as you.
Look, there's a few plot holes, Tom, in this story, I think. I think that, I'm looking at this and thinking perhaps this was written after the fact and they've tried to sort of connect this sort of backstory for Zerottel into that.
Perhaps Zerottel is not one of those friendly little blue aliens, but he's one of those aliens that can wave his finger and mentally control three guys from Italy who, if we're being honest, don't look like they were about to join any sort of rocket science scholarship program in the first place. But, some of this is in the video, sort of, or at least there's a bunch of munted blue CG alien dudes copy-pasted everywhere. And then, have you seen the video to the follow-up Move Your Body?
Sure have.
It continues to expand the Zerottel cinematic universe and features let's, for the want of a better word, call them a band,
Yep.
doing the same shit as the last video, but for twice as long. The song is somehow worse, which is almost impressive. I wrote a fan follow-up called I'm Brown, but sadly it only sold 4 million copies at 3 a.m. as a mobile phone ringtone, starring an animated turd emoji with its dick hanging out.
Yep.
But yeah, so I only made a couple of mil off that, which was a real shame because I thought, I'm Brown could have expanded the cinematic universe even further, perhaps introducing a new race of brown-coloured people, who are at war with... Because in the videos, Zerottel seems to be fighting something, and so do the band, if by fighting you mean that they seem to have been crudely overlaid onto some sort of 2D platform game from the era, say, Abe's Odyssey on the Super Nintendo or something, and occasionally one of them will stick their leg out and then 20 to 30 seconds later an alien will walk in and bounce off their leg and fly off in a Marvel Universe level special effect.
Yeah, the CGI is somehow worse than that was from Here's Johnny, I think. From
I was going to
Focus.
say.
So yeah, it's 5 years later, but it's completely worse. So
Anyway.
look, in 1991, Tom, if I can flash back to that podcast, I think we briefly discussed what if we could buy the rights to MC Scat Cat? What if we could somehow approach the record label, get MC Scat Cat under our umbrella of artists, and then sort of try and I guess reintroduce him or relaunch him, into a new world. Not just MC Scat Cat, but all of the Stray Mob. I think
Yes,
Tommy sort of
don't
mentioned
forget
that.
the Stray Mob.
So, should we be looking at also trying to purchase the rights to Zarotl? I mean, he's fucking awful, but that means they should come cheap. And then perhaps trying to relaunch a sort of second coming of Zarotl. Would you like to see an MC Scat Cat Zarotl versus track? Maybe we can just take, say, I don't know, the main part from Scatman John and then get them to sort of do a rap around it.
Sure.
How does that work?
Get Lou Bega to do some auto-tune over the top. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everything about the Zarotl character in the website is completely insane to me. I don't really understand it. But look, they sold so many copies, they probably just said to someone in Italy in 1999, just set up a fucking website and write some bullshit. Here's 10,000 euros.
Maybe they were legitimately invested in Zarotl and they took their monetary success with I'm Blue as a massive global affirmation that other people wanted to hear about the Zarotl story
Yeah.
too, instead of thinking this chorus is vaguely catchy.
But the problem, I think, they really dropped the ball here, Eiffel 65, because we only have to fast forward about 5 years to see that, Crazy Frog just exploded. Zarotl could have been Crazy Frog, I think, in terms of his popularity.
Yeah,
So,
well, that's how my turd emoji got so big as well.
exactly right. Look, good to see this song back on people's radar, because in 2020, a Flume remix was in the hottest 100 of Triple J, and I think people were like, oh, great, it's back.
Oh, God. Not even Flume could save this. I prefer, personally, the 2015 version, She's Blue, by Marie Amber, which is even shitter than the original because it's a joke-free song about the TARDIS from Doctor Who by an Australian YouTube millennial who does musical parodies and films them in a car park in Sydney. I prefer Cat in a Box on top of a fridge myself, but, I shouldn't pay her out too much, but, they're pretty bad. Sorry.
Look, I think what I find, Tom, is that when you're doing a parody, the best thing to do is to wait 15 years to do it, because usually that's the key. You don't want to do Weird Al and sort of go, song's out now, I'm going to try and get that parody out within the year, or even within a couple of months for Weird Al. I think what you should do is you should definitely go, let's put this on ice, and then 15 years later I'm going to do a parody and people will be like, oh yeah, I remember that from 15 years ago.
Also,
that is hilarious.
when you're doing a parody, remember, never put any jokes in or be funny in any way.
Absolutely not.
And
Absolutely not.
It helps if you can't sing and have an Australian accent that makes even me wish I was from another country. Sorry, now I'm just being really mean about some YouTube
Look,
person.
one of the mysteries of this song, Tom, and I think for a long time people sort of, because it's like I'm blue, double dee double, and people didn't know whether it was just the dude going dabba dee dabba da, or whether it was sort of actually saying something in that gap. And I think one of the rumors was it was like I'm blue, I'm in need of a guy, I'm in need of a
I
guy.
suppose, yeah, I guess.
That's one that I heard. That
Yeah,
people
I mean,
sort of
I'm just
suggested,
thinking. I'm sure that happened. I'm just trying to imagine if I could think it would sound like that.
Probably doesn't at all, but
Monda
yeah.
Green.
Yeah,
I mean, it makes
exactly.
as much sense as Dubba Deeba Deboo.
Dabba dee dabba da. So look, I just cannot think of anything better than it's a new millennium 10, 9, 8. Baba dee dabba dabba da 7 dee dabba da 6.
Why didn't someone remix Prince? Why didn't someone fucking remix 1999 by Prince? Jesus. I mean, I guess people probably did and played it in nightclubs and it didn't get to number one in the charts. But
look, the thing is, Tom, that as we will learn in the future, Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You, every Christmas time, gets back
bump.
into the charts, gets a bump up. So because of Spotify. So I think if Spotify had existed back then, Prince 1999 probably would have gone straight to the top of the charts. But it didn't, so we're stuck with this. Look, as we mentioned before, Too Much of Heaven didn't do great in Australia. That was a follow-up single. But it has been described as, quote, possibly the very first example of rapping through auto-tune. So Eiffel 65, much like Pearl Jam leading to Creed, Rage Against the Machine leading to Limp Bizkit, in many ways, Eiffel 65 led to the entire generation of T-Pain and other terrible auto-tune rappers. So hats off to that. You've done a great job. Lyrical highlights, there must be a load.
Well, let's take a look at this dope rap that you're talking about.
Yeah, sorry, rap is loosely used, isn't it?
I have a house. I have a blue house with a blue window.
Yep.
So notice he switched to first person for this bit. We're literally looking through the eyes of Zerottle at this point. I have a blue house with a blue window. Blue is the colour of all that I wear. Blue are the streets and all the trees are too. I have a girlfriend and she is so blue. Blue are the people here that walk around. Blue like my Corvette. It's in and outside. Blue are the words I say and what I think. Blue are the feelings that live inside me.
Yeah.
Now, Ben, do you reckon there's any chance at all, leaving Zerottle aside for the moment, that at one point Jeffrey J, the dude who wrote the lyrics in, and I quote him, 30 to 40 minutes, was trying to use the whole I'm blue thing to mean being sad in the traditional I'm blue sense, got a bit carried away, lost his way a bit, was frustrated because he didn't speak very good English, hit save, went out on the town, did a huge amount of pingers, and wound up spending all night in some random dude's flat talking about aliens with a guy in reflective blue flares with huge foam spikes on them and an alien-faced tank top. And then he woke up at 4 p.m. on Monday afternoon. He'd erased the original song and this was what was left on his hard drive, along with 26-page Word document about Zerottle and his history with the human race and how he uses gamma rays to tell people to trim their flavour savers and, you know, go into space and fight an alien race of brown guys. You know, I think that's my theory.
Look, it's the most logical take, I think, Tom, for this, because clearly it sounds like yes, correct. It sounds like after a long night on the drugs and the alcohol, that those are the lyrics he may come up with, and a very long manifesto of sorts about Zerottle, I think. It's the only thing that makes sense.
It sounds like it could have started out as someone trying to describe feeling blue, and then he's just gone way over the top, and then, you know, gotten high as fuck.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Is it the ultimate use of metaphor, though, Tom, to sort of express one's emotional state through objects? So I guess
like
to sort
how
of suggest
this
that...
space alien Zerottle from an intergalactic planet has a Corvette for some reason.
Yeah, definitely. Why wouldn't he?
Unexplained reasons. Anyway.
I'm blue like my Corvette. So look, yeah, it's a good song, and that's the thing. Does it talk about? Is it something that we should analyse and say yes, it is a song about sort of someone expressing their emotions and how they feel blue, or is it just legitimately someone listing a heap of blue objects? Maybe we'll never know. But look, as we've said before, Tom, you know, good art, it often asks more questions than answers
That's
it provides.
right.
So, and this is another one. That I'm glad that was the final song for the Millennium. I'm very excited for that.
Lots of big chunk ones this year. Lots of songs that
Massive
ran for
chunks,
8 weeks at a time.
Absolutely. So some of the songs that didn't quite get there, that don't impress me much, by Shania. We talked about Shania last week.
Number 2.
Why Don't You Get a Job by The Offspring? That's almost worse than Pretty Fly for a White Guy.
It starts with the line, "My friend's got a girlfriend and he hates that bitch."
Yeah, exactly.
That's the first line of that song.
And it sounds like it's a rip-off from a Beatles song.
Yeah.
It's fucked.
Not great.
We Like to Party and Boom 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 by the Venga Boys.
Now,
they're both great.
So, Boom Boom songs that were divisible by number 2 were good, we decided, didn't we?
Yeah, so this one's technically good, I think.
Yes,
So, yeah.
according to your theory. Your theory was...
Paul the Carcass was good, and then Boom Boom Boom, I Want You in My Room.
Not so good.
Not so good, and then Boom, I don't even know what this one is. I don't even know.
It's 4 booms and 2 exclamation marks.
Yeah,
apparently.
fuck, I don't know.
I Want It That Way by Backstreet Boys. That was a big hit, but only number 2.
Yep. Sometimes by Britney
Oh, yeah,
Spears.
Genie in a Bottle by Christina Aguilera. She was the first one to follow on the Britney Spears promotional heels.
If You Get Down by 5. Bullshit. Don't Call Me Baby.
Oh, yeah.
Madison Avenue.
A few Millennium-influenced songs. Millennium Prayer by Cliff Richard and Anthem for the Year 2000 by Silverchair.
Yeah, that one's terrible.
And, favourite of mine, The Animal Song by Savage Garden, which has some of the worst lyrics ever put to paper because he's trying quite hard. This is the thing. We're not talking about I'm blue, da-ba-dee-ba-ba-da, and then going out and getting fucked up and doodling stuff in your notebook. This starts off with the lines... When superstars and cannonballs are running through your head, a television freak show, cops and robbers everywhere, subway makes me nervous, people pushing me too far, I've got to break away, so take my hand now, chorus, because I want to live like animals, careless and free like animals, I want to live, I want to run through the jungle, the wind in my hair and the sand at my feet, I've been having difficulties keeping to myself, Feelings and emotions better left up on the shelf. Animals and children tell the truth, they never lie.
It's true.
Which one is more human? There's a thought, now you decide. You know, he's left you with something meaningful there, and he rounds it off with compassion in the jungle. Because that's what I think of when I think of the jungle. I think of the wind in my hair in the jungle, the sand at my feet, you know, one of those sandy jungles, and lots of compassion. That's the first thing that springs to mind in the jungle. But, you know, I like how he poses that philosophical question. Animals and children tell the truth, they never lie. Which one is more human? There's a thought, now you decide. So he's asking, is an animal or a human more human, do you think?
Look, it's a tough one, Tom, but look, I think that...
you know how children never tell lies, Ben. They only speak the truth. You've got two children. They're very honest, aren't they?
They're very honest. They do never tell lies.
If you say, do you piss on the floor? They always say, yes, that's definitely me. I take full responsibility for that and I'll clean it up as quickly as possible.
Absolutely right.
My bad.
Look, I'm not someone that knows a lot about sort of genetics or how they work, but yes, I do assume that you're correct, Tom, that humans are probably more human than animals, but, I mean, I don't know, children definitely.
I think what Darren is trying to say is animals and children tell the truth, they never lie. Which one is more human, brackets, than us and them, e.g., in his analogy, children aren't human in this analogy. He's saying animals and children who aren't human tell the truth. So which is more human, them or us? I think that's what it's like. That song "Rats" by Pearl Jam, where they list a bunch of stuff that rats don't do. You know, meaning to sort of push the truth in your face and go, "Hey man, you think rats are so gross? They're vermin, but you know, look at all this shit. People are worse. Rats don't do this, that, rats don't do that." With the slight problem that about half of the things he lists that rats don't do, they totally do.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's one of the things I think that he lists that rats don't do is shit where they're not supposed to, which is some new kind of rat that he knows about because this is not the one.
Any better knows. He's always known.
Yes.
He does.
So anyway, sorry, I had to bring up even more shit lyrics. Just like that they are in my top 5, I reckon, for worst lyrics of all time.
Compassion in the jungle too, as well, Tom. You're absolutely right. I mean, I've often noticed that, you know, when sort of the leopard's going to, you know, attack the cheetah, it's like, no, wait on. Compassion, Tom. It's all about compassion.
That's
look,
right.
It's absolutely great. So look, there's some other shitters in here as well. So as you mentioned, Sister by Sister to Sister.
Oh God, yeah, I looked that up.
Now, Tom, I don't want to talk about it too much, but imagine MC Scat Cat's Opposites Attract, except replacing Who'd Have Thought We Could Be Lovers with two sisters going, she's always on the phone.
Yeah.
Oh no, she's in the
weird,
bathroom a lot. She won't leave. And it's like sisters just talking about how they're complete opposites and they fucking hate each other because one's always, you know, taking a dump while the other one is taking a piss.
They appear to be
One's just like, oh god, they're so annoying, and then the chorus is like, oh, but I love my sister. It's fucking woeful. So it's pretty good.
Absolutely terrible. The only thing I would say in the defence of that is you don't hear many songs about a sister liking another, not a metaphorical sister, like, you know, another person with the same skin colour as me or someone who's cool as well, but my actual sister or brothers.
Yeah.
There aren't many songs about fraternal or, you know...
That's true.
What's the female... what is it? What's the female version of fraternal? Means sisters. God, that's going to irritate me now. Anyway, doesn't matter. There aren't many songs about it, is what I'm saying.
Oh, look, good
that
on...
does not make it not a shit song.
No, exactly. Good on Sister to Sister, or S to S, as they've been known as well for trying, Tom. They've done that as well. When You're Gone, Bryan Adams and Melanie C. You remember that one? Where they're like, even food don't taste that good. Booze ain't doing what it should. That one's fucked. And I'm glad it only got to number 4 because Bryan Adams had way too many number 1s this year.
He did in the 90s.
In the 90s, so yep. Yep, so...
What Sister to Sister should have done is do implied incest like the Veronicas. That's where they were really letting it down.
They should have, absolutely. Yeah,
the Sister to Sister had fake scissoring in the video. They probably would be still famous now, really.
Yeah, the Veronicas are working on a level that I'm not quite sure whether it was ever okay, but people seem to have just turned a blind eye and went, that's okay. Look, Tom, next week we're going to be doing the 90s rap.
Lullaby by Sean Mullins. You're right. I thought it was Rockabye. I swear he says rockabye.
He does. He goes lullaby, rockabye.
Yeah, okay.
It
Anyway.
doesn't matter what he says. It's fucking
appalling,
woeful
sure.
on all levels.
Please keep going.
So I was just going to say, Tom, look, next week we're going to be doing a 90s rap.
Yep.
Where we sort of have a look at some of the stuff that we didn't get to talk about in the 90s. So some of these songs that didn't make it to number one, but we feel like have something significant to say. Not us have something. The songs themselves have something significant to say. We'll talk about. So look, we'll get to talk about a few of these. So yeah, such as you're going to hand out a few awards, Tom. Is that right?
Oh, sure. We'll have plenty of awards.
Definitely. So hopefully you're handing out an award for most likely to be performing at a food and wine festival in 20 years' time, extraordinarily intoxicated. So I won't tell you who that award winner is, but they reached number 4 in this year with one of their
And
hits.
Darren Hayes, I know you're listening to this. Sorry I paid out your lyrics so much. I'm sure you know what they mean, but you know.
Yeah,
anyway.
exactly. Cool. All right, well, thanks a lot. Oh, Wild Wild West only got to number 8. Tom, I just saw that in the podcast. So, yep, good stuff. Anyway, thanks for listening.
Thank you very much.
And we'll see you next week for a 90s rap.
Yep. All the songs are in the YouTube playlist.
YouTube playlist. And check us out on Sunglasses at Night podcast on the Instagram. Thank you very much.
So, yeah.